Hey everybody, we are officially live. Welcome to our live stream tonight. We are here live on Bostic Enterprises. I'm DC Self Sanctuary. We got here Albert Bostic here for tonight. How are
course,
you
of
guys
course.
doing?
How's everyone doing tonight? Like usual, we're gonna sit there and we're gonna do a little bit of something different. We're gonna sit there and talk about Epiphany, some stories and stuff like that. We're gonna bounce off with everyone here, and then we're gonna kind of just meander after that. So I figure it'd be a good time to sit there and kind of remember some of the great stories that she did and her character and stuff like that. Um, so I'm gonna start off with you, DC. Any
Oh
stories or
man,
whatever that
see,
about Epiphany or whatever?
I knew coming on this live that I had to watch today's episode because everyone was talking about it, and it's so weird because I watched Tuesday's episode this morning, and they just segued right into Epiphany. I don't know if I missed something in between, um, but I knew I had to watch Epiphany this whole episode today because I was like, okay, you guys, I'm talking about it live. Every time I'm on a live here, something impactful happens on GH. But the biggest storyline that I could remember is the storyline she had with Stan. But I more so can also remember the storylines that Epiphany did on Night Shift. I think that that was some of her best work, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Um, it's a sad day on GH. I just kind of felt like, they could have given her a storyline, that was going on. But the biggest story I remember is the one with Stan when she lost her son when Jerry Jacks killed him. And then some of the stuff that she had on Night Shift with Billy D. Williams. That was one of my biggest memories of Epiphany. What about yours?
Yeah, it's funny too because I was trying to think about the night shift and I was thinking about Billy D. Williams and stuff like that. And like you said, I wish they would have gave her more stuff. I like some of the stuff she was having with Sonny as far as him, helping him like re-walk again and stuff like that. I enjoyed that stuff. Um, wow. I was gonna sit there and say the stuff with Milo, but to be honest, some of that stuff happened on screen, but then a lot of that stuff happened off screen. Like after a while, because Milo left because they weren't really doing a whole um mob stuff and stuff like that. So it was like a lot of her stuff, like even her breakup happened like off screen. It was just like really, you know.
Everything happened off screen with Epiphany, honestly. I mean, her son Stan died off screen. Like everything was just that's just like a thing with Epiphany. I mean, it makes me wonder, do you think there was a story to write for Epiphany?
Well, they had the stuff with the whole. Didn't she have like diabetes or something like that? She has. I think she had diabetes, right?
She had something, I believe. Yeah, she had something.
I know she had something with her heart, but I do remember her having something with diabetes. And I thought that would have been good to sit there and really kind of explore, but it's like they did like one episode with it, and then it was just right there. Now, the one
Because
thing, because oh, sorry. The one thing I
I,
will sit there and say, because I didn't do a review on the episode, because I just,
I noticed. I
yeah, I was
noticed.
just
I was like,
not,
where's your
I was not
GH
on
review? What's
there.
going on? What's going on?
I was not, but the one thing I will sit there and say is that they actually, the plaque that, oh, I'm sorry, I'm kind of spoiling it for you a little bit, but they did actually
Might as
put,
well.
yeah, they put her plaque on the wall with, the other nurses and doctors and stuff like that, of people that passed, and I was like, that was really nice. And it made me think about Brit, and I was just like, why did he do that with Brit for? Like Epiphany, it made sense. Lila and Alan and stuff like that, it made sense. Um, so I thought that was nice that they actually put her name, the plaque or whatever on there. So that was cool
Let me ask this real quick. Why did you think it didn't make sense with Britt? Was it because that she was
because she was really
an
alive in
actress
real
didn't
life. Yeah,
well, an actress? I think they were trying to make it like true to the storyline in its own weird way too as well. That's why I think that was part of it. Because she was trying to make it they were trying to make it true to the storyline. Like even though we know those are the people in GH, the actors are no longer alive, but I think they were trying to commemorate it. But I also felt like just for a lot of logical reasons, Brit did not belong on that wall.
yeah,
Personally.
yeah. No, I exactly, and that's the thing. I can get behind
Character
the
wise
reason
and in person
story wise. Yeah.
wise.
Yeah, no, it like for a story wise line, it made sense, but I don't know. I guess for me, it just felt. I don't want to sit there and say insulting, but the people that actually passed away were on that wall, and to have somebody that wasn't like that didn't pass away, it just didn't really make a lot of sense. You know?
I think for Brit, they did that for the sake of the storyline with Brit, but
Yeah,
I feel like once that blows over, it'll be Epiphany. Epiphany's poetry, I think, will step there permanently along with everybody else. Brit's was just there for the storyline. That's what I
Yeah.
feel like. I don't think they would bring that back. But okay, like, and am I missing something? Was there an episode prior to this? Because I was watching Tuesday's episode, and they were in, Kelly's and Mike's and Esme and all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden now it's Epiphany's Day's episode. Did I miss something in between?
No, 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 you didn't. I think honestly, to tell you the truth, the copy that you watched might have been a little kind of jacked up or whatever. But
No, I was
when you're
watching this on
watching,
Hulu.
oh,
I was watching.
then
I watched Tuesday's episodes on Hulu.
no, then you didn't miss anything then. No.
Because I'm just like, it was just like a random transition. Unless I wasn't paying attention, I was paying too much attention to my bagel this morning. I don't know. Like, it's just like,
Well,
it's like,
that's the
did
thing.
I
No,
miss
no. I
something?
mean, it happened towards the end though, like when Liz got the
Okay,
call and stuff
okay.
like that. So yeah,
Yeah, I was too invested
that's
in the bagel. Okay, I was. I was too invested in the bagel. Damn. Because like, did I miss something? I was everyone all of a sudden talking about Epiphany. I'm like, what did I miss at this
yeah,
point?
no, and that's yeah, and I think the way it was, I guess it might have been like kind of an odd cut though, like emotionally wise, because like you knew exactly what happened. So it's like 1 minute they're talking about
Right.
Cam and Liz and stuff like that. And Liz kept sitting there saying, why haven't I heard from Epiphany and stuff like that? So it was an odd transition. I think that's why you felt like you probably missed something a little bit.
And the thing is too, I was honestly figuring at some point in time that the writers would have done what they did with, like, okay, so they had Sean on One Life to Live, who was like Todd's bodyguard and Blair's bodyguard, and then after a while, the writers bumped him up to full time and gave him a whole storyline, and everything. I always figured they would do that with Epiphany on GH, but they never did. Like they gave her a little bit on Night Shift, but that was it. It was never on main canvas. Where Sean got a whole full-fledged storyline that they played out. Where I feel like Epiphany's storyline with her son Stan dying played out just for I feel like a week or two, and then she was just back to being the sassy black nurse on GH, just being for real. Like
Yeah.
that back to that. That's how I felt.
Yeah, no, no, no. And yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you. Yeah, I just this whole thing was just going. I think I did.
Doesn't Albert look good? The haircut, guys, is good,
Yeah,
right? It's gonna be Eli Grant, right? It's gonna be Eli
thank
Grant,
you.
right? Okay, what's up, no?
I had to do that like at least maybe 30
Yeah.
minutes before I actually jumped on live. But so I hope I actually got everything off. But you're right. Here's the thing though. Between our two conversations, as far as Epiphany is concerned, I felt like I think we both can kind of feel like they could have did more with the character. They could have did more with the character. I mean, she's been on there for a hot minute, but you know, I was also watching the scene today with her and Jason. I don't know if you remember that scene where it's like he put the gun to her head, and the minute she got to that elevator, she was like, "Yo, listen, if you do that hard one more time," it was just a really great scene. So like, I did love some of the stuff that they gave her. I just felt like I wish they would have gave her more. I think that's what it really came down
Yeah,
to.
yeah, that's the thing too. And I feel like right now, because it's musical chairs with the cast, there's no way they would have been able to even see the storyline out with her right now at this moment. I mean, they can barely do what their main players. So, someone like Epiphany who is part-time, whatever, I don't think they could have done that the way that they should have, in my personal opinion. Which is just sad, honestly. It's sad, but yeah.
Did you? So okay, so you didn't watch the whole episode today, right?
I only got to like I told you before, because Hulu doesn't post it till 9 p.m. So I had
Yeah.
to watch on YouTube with the zoom in. So YouTube will give
Hmm.
me
Yeah.
15 minutes
And the
worth.
weird
So it's like,
music, yes. And you watched the whole thing, or
I
you
think they do
didn't?
that because of the West Coast people. I think it's because of West Coast people. Hulu waits till 9 p.m., which I'm like, tell those West Coast people. I can just do this now. Tell with them.
I was that it was definitely a hard episode to watch,
Right.
and I think right afterwards I watched Family Guy because like I needed something to sit there and balance my mood because it was just so. Was that your?
Yeah, I just need her to sit her on the bed. All right. She just kept moving around. I apologize about that.
Oh no, 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 it's fine. It was just like I didn't know if he was moving a piece of clothes or if he was moving a cat. So
No, it was a cat. It was.
I love
It
how you
was. It
barricade
was.
the door and the cat still got in. I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, she did that. Yeah.
but yeah, no, it was definitely a very emotional episode. So, you know, I'm forewarning you, like it's gonna be
I did
Have,
see Felix crying, and I was like, because I saw they brought back Felix the day before. I was like, they brought back Felix, like all this for the nurses' ball, but that was okay. It's really for Epiphany this time around. Because I was like, damn, I forgot. Like I thought the writers forgot Felix existed.
yeah. I think the actor wound up doing something else because like they weren't using him enough. So
Yeah,
you
they
know,
weren't. They really weren't. They weren't at all.
but yeah. Some of the stuff you probably like though. Like I don't want to sit there and spoil it for you too much, but they do bring some people in there that's pretty cool. So
They bring Emma. I did celebrate Emma, my girl Emma, the brought in Emma. I
okay,
was
all right.
happy to see that.
So yeah, I didn't. Yeah, okay. So they
They
brought
brought
her
in
in.
Emma. They brought in Emma. I was happy to see that. They could have brought back Robin, but it's okay. Nothing's perfect. Or
I
did
mean,
they
they
bring
could
back
have
Robin?
they could have brought back Patrick too, but you know, whatever.
Oh, they
I
remember. I
get it.
never
You know,
heard of him.
I get it. You know, he stuck playing Billy Abbott, so you know, whatever.
Yeah, Patrick, he's in another paradigm. He's living another life as a man
Yeah,
named Billy Abbott in Wisconsin. He's living a whole new life. But I think honestly, I think that GH did from what I saw, a decent job. Um, but this is my whole thing with soaps. I just with GH is just utilize the characters that you have on screen. Um, I mean, we've been through this 1,000 times. I'm not gonna beat it to death, but I mean, it's just I I don't think even if they had the chance to give Epiphany the storyline, they would have, they could have, because it's been like almost what 10, 12 years.
yeah,
They if they didn't do it in that window, they weren't gonna do it. I'm gonna
yeah.
be
No,
honest with you.
yeah, no, no. You're 100% right. But I mean, I think the last time I watched something that was somewhat this emotional was Lila's episode, like her funeral. Because it felt like a legit funeral. And that's how it felt like when you was watching this. It's like, yeah, you know, they were doing like a lot of fake crime, but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think that all those tears was exactly felt, you know, like fake. Like it felt like it was a real
Yeah,
funeral. So they did honestly tell you the truth, if because I didn't hit the thing, I didn't do a review on it. I was just like, nope, not gonna do it. But I would sit there and say it was a good tribute, a good fitting tribute for the character. I'll say that much.
yeah, yeah. I would agree with that. I agree. I think they did. I think they did a decent job. Um, okay, yeah, that's all I'll say of that because I don't want to say that next part. Yeah, but yes, they did a decent job. Yes.
Yeah. Now, moving to Y&R, did you have you been keeping up with Y&R so far?
Yes. So the last I saw one, I was Friday, but let's talk about it because this is Bostic Enterprises, so
Yes, of
we can still
course.
talk about it. I can still get into the middle of it. You know, I can still get the gist of it. You know, I haven't seen it. This is this week so far. We can get into the gist of it. I did see that there is a cat fight that goes on with Diane and Phyllis. I saw a little bit of a snippet of that, right?
Yeah, yeah, that happens.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead and say go. Go ahead before I say
Oh no,
anything.
no,
Go
I
ahead.
was
Go
just
ahead.
gonna.
Go ahead.
I was trying to because I did some things I was gonna read some of the comments or whatever about. So ZK said, "I love that scene with Sunny and Epiphany. She can care less what title he held. He was a patient of hers, and she had a job to do. Epiphany was straight for it. Yeah, that's very true. That was very true. Um, I want to sit there and kind of read some of the comments or whatever, but I didn't. I don't. Did you?
Absolutely.
Did anyone actually
Where are you
read
at in
them?
the comments?
Well, I just kind of picked a random comment, ZK's comments. So did anyone else actually write a story or something that they liked about her? Because you can see the comments too, right?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can see the comments. I can definitely see it. Oh yeah, I can definitely see these comments. I'm trying to see here. Kind of
Yeah,
what
see if
stood out to
anyone else.
me. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying, see if anyone else actually wrote anything about Epiphany.
Okay, so I think I don't know if you read this. It was from ZK. They said beautiful flowers and photos of Epiphany. I was surprised Taggart didn't attend. Good to see Milo. Great to hear Monica's voice, and I truly miss Jason. Jason and Epiphany had a unique friendship. Were they really friends though?
Somewhat. They weren't friends, but like she knew what he did, and she wasn't like too like, you know, like that point in the whole elevator scene with the whole Jason pulling a gun on her and her
Yeah.
knowing that she wasn't gonna actually she wasn't gonna get shot or anything like that. So I guess
Like, okay, some of the scenes, even with Anna, was like looking at Felicia, like And it's like I don't recall Anna and Felicia like I don't recall Anna and Epiphany ever having a scene. Honestly, like it doesn't really spring to my mind right away. I don't know if that
Yeah.
was on anybody else. Like that just seemed, and I get it. Maybe the actress who plays Anna is also obviously mourning Sonya Eddy real life, but Anna and Epiphany never had a. I don't recall them ever having a scene. I mean,
Like
unless there was a
Liz.
flashback shown in today's episode.
Yeah, like Liz had plenty of scenes with her, so that made sense. When they were sitting there doing those flashback scenes and stuff like that. So it made sense. Yeah, Valley, I love the fireworks also. And yeah, why they had Sam and Spinelli there. Just says why they have Sam and Spinelli there in the episode. I don't know if you remember that part, but they were there too.
Like some things make sense. Like okay, even though Finn was not really close with Epiphany, he was a hospital staff member, so that kind of like made sense close to the storyline. But Anna and Epiphany barely had a scene together, so I did not get that really. And I don't ever recall Felicia even having a scene with scenes of Epiphany.
Any
So
scenes
that
with any
whole
scenes with Spinelli? Any scenes with Spinelli and Epiphany or Sam and Epiphany? Because I don't remember those scenes either.
no, and did they
It
show
would have
any
been
flashbacks?
no. I don't remember any flashbacks. I just remember them being there and just holding hands. And I think that's probably why Robin's presence would have made more sense. Her being there because they had
Yeah,
a connection and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's cool that Milo was there. Um, and yeah, you're right about the whole Anna and Felicia stuff. Like, um, who do they have? Felix, like Felix, that stuff made some stuff. Yeah, I can understand why some stuff is a little kind of out of order, but maybe it's because the actors have more of a closer relationship than the characters did. So
I think it's also like because I feel like when I watch these soap storylines, I have to understand the business of soaps, and I feel like there's a call sheet, and so because of that call sheet, a certain amount of people can only be on in the episode. I think that's part of it too. Like, okay, Jessica says that you would have thought Terry would have been there, and I agree. Why wasn't Terry the chief of staff at the funeral, even as like a bystander somewhere in the background? But I think I think I said that's that business side of the soaps where they have a certain people that can only be on the episode, and they have to fit that bill with that. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, it makes sense. It was kind of like Cody. Like Cody was just there in the background. And yeah, she was there for. He was there
Why would
for.
Cody even be there?
No, 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 no. He wasn't there for her. He was there for Britt. But he barely said anything to Britt's memorial. He didn't sit there and speak or anything like that. He was literally just in the background. So it's like the dude couldn't have been there, and it really wouldn't have made that much of a difference.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So, but yeah, going into YNR. What are your thoughts so far? What are your thoughts of the 50th anniversary? What are your thoughts?
What I saw last week was lackluster, capital with a capital L. It was terrible. I mean, for a 50th anniversary, the intro was nice. I like the intro; it was a nice touch. But for 50th anniversary, this is the best that you gave us. Tarai wasn't even in that room. I thought that was interesting, especially considered Cameron Grimes has played Cassie. She's been on that show for such a long time since she was like what 6 or 7 years old. A little weird. Um, then just the lack of flashbacks. This Leanna person coming in. You see, this is why I have respect for writers like Carvelotti because he knows that when you're writing a character that has been on screen for like some 10 so years, new viewers need backstory. I've been watching YNR since '06. I don't even know who this person is, this Leanna character. So I'm like, this is just like crazy in a sense. You know what I mean? Like no backstory. They didn't have no flashbacks last week, nothing. And I'm just like, how do is there even going to be a shootout at the event? Like you don't have everybody in town in one room and you don't do something. That's like against the soap Bible. You just don't do that.
It does it
Something
does
has to
seem
go
like it's
down.
yeah, it does seem like it's a good time for like some sort of crisis or something like that to happen. Kind of like the Metro cores and the hotel fires
Exactly.
and stuff like that. Even on One Night to Live with the whole train wreck thing. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
I do.
I definitely agree with that.
What were your thoughts on it? Because you're like a little bit of a, I don't want to say a newer viewer. I feel like now you're getting ready to graduate to that next stage, a level two viewer. Right?
I mean,
What are
yeah,
your thoughts on it?
it's for me. It was sort of like what you were saying. Like they had another character named Nina. I had no idea who she was. Um, There were some characters in there today. Who did you say was in there? You said there was another name
Leanna.
that you said. Yeah, Leah. I had no idea who that was. Was
And they
that
don't
the
give
chick that was saying
backstory
that?
on these people. She
Yeah,
was the
it's like they
blonde
get
that got into the argument with Ashley last week.
the blonde. Who was the blonde that got into an argument with Ashley? What was her name?
Ashley was just like, I'm gonna go over there and say something to her. And she was a blonde. And then I think she also
Oh
has a scene
yes,
with Kyle.
yeah, the reporter,
Yeah, yeah,
the tabloid chick. Yeah, I had no idea
yeah.
who she was. No, because it reminds me of the dude on General Hospital. What was his name?
Smoltz.
Most. Yeah, it reminded me of him. But these people, all of them knew who she was, and I had no idea who she was.
Do
Like,
you, do you feel like do you feel like they gave a proper backstory on these people like Mamie and Leanna for you to kind of understand some of who they were?
no, not really. No, but I did like the scene with Mimi though. Or was her name Mamie? Mamie? Is
Mamie,
that her name? I didn't like the scene with, but
aka
yeah, but it didn't really. You know what it is? I guess for me, like I felt the emotion between those two. Like when she came into the room and they hugged each other and stuff like that. It's like I felt it. So like I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give that a pass because I felt like it was a very emotional scene. So it's like even though you didn't really know the backstory, you knew how much they
but there
care
was
for
no
each
build up. Because this is my thing. If Carvelotti wrote that scene, Carvelotti would have had either a day or two ago where Jack would have mentioned, "Yeah, I remember being as a kid, and Mamie, that maid was there." Like mention of her prior to that
and
buildup.
have
That's
some
how
flash. Yeah,
Carvelotti would have wrote that.
exactly. Have some flashbacks in there. Probably
Because
put some
here's the thing.
flashbacks in it. Yeah, no, I get
Well,
that.
here's the thing. He might not even done a flashback, but he would just would have had to mention there. Because when they had Sarah believe that she was Renee Dumond on Days, right before that happened, there was a mention of Renee's name. Right when
Yes,
EJ said was mentioning his siblings' names, and it's like, okay, we know these are the Demare siblings, and then boom, cut to Sarah believing she's Renee Dumond. There was somewhat of an understanding for a viewer who doesn't know who the hell those people are, like at least
that's
a
very
smidgen,
true.
and we didn't get that in Y&R. And the thing is about it is, I know who Mamie was because I've seen a lot of Y&R past videos, but I didn't know who the hell Leanna was. I watched it was '06. So if I'm someone who's watching '06 and I'm somewhat confused, I was thinking to myself, what does Albert think watching some of this?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You're right. I had no idea who she was. So yeah, that was definitely lacking. You are 100%. You are 100% correct in that.
I was extremely bothered by that, by the way they're bringing these people in Y&R, and there's no backstory, there's no proper build up, there's no proper history, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, Leanna Love, like the way they could have mentioned it is maybe when Tracy and Nikki were talking about planning the gala, they could have said about all they could have started mentioning names of Genoa City residents and why they didn't like them, just to give us a hint of what's to come. And then so we see these people, we get an idea of who they are. And their writing wasn't built up for that. And this is why, like I said, I respect Carvelotti because he knows how to write history well. That wouldn't have happened. He would have given us either a flashback or some character mentioning, oh yeah, I remember that day 20 years ago when I was on this cruise and that dreadful blah 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 was there. Like something like that. We didn't get that. And Mamie showing up to Abbott's door, Jack, who the hell are you? Like, I knew who she was, but you didn't know who she was. It's like, oh, okay. Like, but see, Days would have had right before that point, like a build up to it. That's what Days would have had. So right before Renee Dumont was mentioned, EJ made a mention. Right before Megan Hathaway arose, there was a mention of her. There was a mention of these people before they even showed up, right? And the writers did it in a way where we weren't even alerted that it could be one of those people, but they made somewhat of a mention. So now that pops up. So, like for example, when Sarah thought she was Renee Dumont, she wouldn't say, "My name is Renee Dumont," and viewers are like, "Who the hell is Renee Dumont?" But you heard EJ
Exactly.
literally just said, EJ had said prior, he was talking about the Damaris siblings. He mentioned Benji, he mentioned Megan, and he mentioned Renee, right? And then Lexi. He mentioned four of them. He's like, yeah, those are our siblings. And then so boom, when you got cut to that scene, a viewer like you who may not know who Renee Dumont was, and to be honest, I knew a little bit about her, but not that much. So I could have been equally as like befuddled, right?
Confused. Yeah.
But that buildup was there, and that's what I'm just not feeling why Nara was lackluster. And Mamie showing up at her employer's house, not her family's house, kind of bothered me too a little bit. But
Well, she
what was your
actually
take
has.
on it though?
Well, she had family, and thank you, Jason. Yes, hit the like button. All the likes really does help. she actually has family in Genoa City besides like she has family in Genoa City though,
Lily, Devon, and Nate are her family.
and she stopped by Jack's place first because why?
That's exactly what I said. I get it
Yeah,
because of
that's
history, because technically she's never even had a scene with them, I think, pretty much, from what I maybe
yeah.
not. She's had more scenes with Jack, but it was weird. And then when Lily saw Mamie, she looked shocked. So I mean, tell me, like, even if your aunt stopped at her employer's house first, she's at her employer's house, she didn't give you a call, let you know she was in town. They look shocked to
Oh,
see her. Hey, Mamie.
that, that would have been insulting. I'm not gonna lie, that would have been kind of insulting. It just a slight bit. That would have been kind of insulting on some realness.
And I don't know if they're trying to use Aunt Mamie to be the connecting guy to bring the three of them together, but it was just very piss poor because what they could have done, even for a build up from that, was Nate saying, like, maybe to Lily, hey, we got to stick together, you know? Our mothers, Olivia and Drew, they would want to stick together. And even Aunt Mamie wanted them to stick together. Just a mention of her prior, right? So then we can see how this connection would weave in. You know what I'm saying? But no, we're not getting that. And that's the problem. It's just it's not good writing. And that's why I'm like, this 50th anniversary, it felt like a bootleg nurse's ball. A great value nurse's ball. A very
Yeah, I
great
remember you.
value.
I remember you saying that. No, yeah,
Name
you're
brand is
definitely
great
right.
value.
You're definitely right. I think when I started watching Why Not, I think it was like maybe 2 years or a year and a half, but it was like off and on. I didn't start watching it seriously until like maybe 4 months ago. So I'm still pretty new as far as you know that whole thing is concerned. But what stuff? Okay, so what stuff did you actually like about the YNR 50th so far? Besides the intro, because you already said the intro. So besides the intro, what else do you
Look
like
at you
about
trying to
it?
give it that positive spin, asking what did I like. Look at you trying to give it that
Yeah,
positive
I
spin.
mean,
I love
well,
it
here's
though.
the
I
thing,
love
because
it.
I didn't really know. Like for me, it was very hard for me to judge it. Like you're right, as far as the build up and stuff like that has been
So did you
lackluster.
just enjoy it then?
I thought it was. I enjoyed certain parts. Certain parts I
Okay.
enjoyed. But as a whole, it I felt like it was also very crowded. So like even today's episode, I was just like, even when I was doing my review, I had to use like maybe 2 pages. I'm like, I didn't even know half these people who they were. So like Danny, he pissed me off. But what stuff did you like though?
All right. Well, if I have to pick something, because low key,
Besides
I
the
just feel like
intro,
the writers just say, "Hey guys, we got a 50th anniversary, so let's just get some people in here and let's do what I do." So get back to our story. That's how it felt. But um, I guess I say okay. One thing I did like, but this is not even related to the 50th anniversary. Honestly, was Amanda's return. I think that was the best part about last week from YNR for me
yeah,
was Amanda's
I did
return.
like that.
When she came in, it was giving Hillary Curtis her twin sister vibe. So it was just a good thing when she came in there, and pretty much when she told Abby like I'm not thinking about y'all like, and I honestly believe Amanda. I think Amanda like she came there to do a job and it was for the check. It just
Yeah,
so happened part of that job was taking Devon down the process. So it was like killing two birds with one stone. You know what I mean? But I like that she pretty much told Abby like I'm not thinking about you guys. You know what I'm saying? I got my own thing going on. I'm doing my own thing, and I thought she was the best part of last week. But in terms of the bicentennial or whatever they got going on in Genoa City, okay,
didn't
well
really care.
you're a new viewer. What did you like? Because this is all new for me.
Now I will sit there and say, what's good, Nikisha? What's good, Janet? What's good, everyone?
Hey, Nikisha.
So I did love the Amanda scene. Like, here's the thing: as much as I like Devon, when Devon was they talking about, oh, you make this personal, you came in here just to attack me. I was like, bro, are you kidding me? Like the way Amanda handled both Devon and Abby, pretty much just handing in their ass. I loved it. That was so great, and I think today's episode just kind of pissed me off because it's like all the stuff she was doing, just being like a total badass, just like practically walked that all back. I don't know if you watched today's episode, but yeah, you're gonna see what I'm talking about when you watch today's episode. But all in all, I did like the fact that she returned back for a little bit. I don't
First,
know why the actress left. As because
she's
she's
from
not my
Chicago, man.
person.
Now
Oh, okay.
I've seen
So,
Chicago Med for time, so I know she's on there, but I saw her in Chicago Med. One thing I will also point out is the scene between Mamie and Jill, which once again, if people have proper context, they would understand that scene. I understood it a little bit. But the scene with Mamie and Jill, pretty much the whole thing was that Mamie was dating Jack Abbott, and Jill paid her off money to get out of town because she wanted, sorry, not Jack Abbott, John Abbott. She wanted John Abbott to herself because Jill was married to Jack's father, and that's why how they had Billy. And so paid Mamie $1 million, and so Mamie said, "Oh, I turned that million to 10 million." And I feel like maybe it was being kind of petty. It was 20 years ago. Jill was trying to move on, and sis, that was more than the Abbotts were probably going to pay you. So in my mind, I'm like, Jill probably did you a favor. She
you know
probably
what?
did
I'm
you
not
a
gonna.
favor. I give that $1 million.
In some ways, here's the thing. I'm kind of a hypocrite because I always sit there and talk about, well, you need to sit there and let things go and this, that, and third. But I'm a Leo. I don't just let things go. So when I looked at that, I was like, you know what? At least she kept that same energy. She wasn't walking into her like, yeah, you're right. Let's just bygones be bygones. Like, nah, I didn't like you 20, 30 years ago. I don't like you today. Screw you. Thank you for the money. Goodbye. Part of me just kind of liked that scene for some odd reason. It was like, you know what? At least you kept that same energy. I can respect that. I can respect that.
Now, see,
I
I'm
mean,
a
it's
Libra. We're
wrong.
about balance. So
Huh?
now, see, I'm a Libra. We're about balance. I feel like in that moment, maybe we should let that go. Because, like I said, Jill did her a favor. That was more than the Abbotts were going to pay her back then. That was more she was going to get for the Babbitts and the so-called love of her life, John Abbott. Which I think they should have had a secret child, but okay, the writers didn't want to go there. I get it.
That's right. Shout out to all the Leos in the chat. You're a Libra, right?
I'm
When's
a
your
Libra. Yeah.
okay? So
October. So
Libras is
you're August 22nd. I'm October 22nd.
and Libras is about what?
We're about balance. Libras, I think we're the best sign. We're the only, I was joking, say we're the only zodiac sign that's not an animal. As I always used to say, I was a little joke. I always used to say, we're about balance. He was about the balance of the scales. But I thought YNR, I hope they do a little bit more better this week. I mean, GH is not 100% up to par with their nurses ball and anniversary week, but it is better than what YNR is bringing. But then again, I think because of the Epiphany thing, they have stronger stuff to work with this week. And if that unfortunate time passing Sonya Eddy didn't happen, would GH have been this strong this week? I kind of wonder.
I, in some ways, I feel like it would have. Like, all right, so we look at the Victor story and stuff like that. It's really moving. Like, did you watch the whole? Like, you're up to today's episode, right?
Somewhat. I'm up to the first 15 minutes of today's episode.
Okay, but you saw yesterday's episode, right? What they did with
Yes.
Eileen. So finally, we got Victor actually doing, which by the way, I love that
Off
scene.
with the quickness, by the way. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, come on now, you knew exactly when they took her to the bridge, you knew exactly what they were going to do. And what I found so funny, what I laughed my ass off, was when Eileen started just telling everything. She was like, "Yeah, Anna's
That was the
alive,
coolest thing she ever
Lucy's
done.
alive," and I found that so funny. I was like, "Yo, this chick is definitely not loyal." She was telling everything. She was singing like a canary, and I loved every single minute of it.
And I think that she hasn't seen enough mob movies because in the mobs, when the mob movies, and they find out when you like you betray them, they want information out of you, and you think once you say they're gonna save you, no, they kill you in the end once they get everything out of you. And I'm like, sis, what are you doing? Like, why are you spilling all of your beans? Because after this, they're just gonna get rid of you. He threw her off that balcony with the quickness. I was like, damn, and this is the man you've been sleeping with. Damn, that's cold. No love lost there. That was cold. My goodness.
Hey,
That was
listen,
so cold.
when you got let's just sit there and say man issues. Things do happen. So, it's like, hey, I don't really have a use for you anymore. That sounds cold as hell, but that's literally what he was sitting there thinking. He was like, I got what I need from you since my joystick doesn't work anymore. It is what it is. So, I don't know. I found that scene funny.
Speaking of which, last week I saw something in regards to the Victor storyline. I was like, wow, they can't leave Carly out of a storyline. My goodness. They just cannot leave this woman pulling out of a storyline. Like every storyline has to have Carly in it. I'm like we're back to this again. Them bumping into them on the bridge. I understood if Drew would have been on that bridge, but why did Carly need to be there? What was the point of that? What could she do? What could she contribute in that scene? I didn't really
Now,
get that.
on a side note, Shauna says Spinelli and Jason were close with Epiphany because of Stan. Any thoughts
I
on
don't feel like
that?
that was developed enough, though. I don't feel like that was developed
Yeah,
enough. That wasn't developed
yeah,
enough. That wasn't developed
Uh,
enough for me personally.
yeah. Have a good night, CW. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I want to read that comment because I was like, what are your thoughts, DC, on that? Because that's
You
kind of a
know,
stretch, right? That's a real stretch.
yeah,
Let's just
like
be honest, that's a stretch.
the spandex stretch. It's very stretchy, but I feel like I feel like in a sense that you know, even Anna, Felicia, I'm like, when did you have a scene with Epiphany? Like, when did that
Yeah,
happen? When did that happen? I don't even recall seeing that. So I was like, okay, but I'm gonna let it slide because it's Sonya Eddie. Even Robert Scorpio was like looking all sad. I was like, I never seen Robert Scorpio and Epiphany had a scene. Yes, you might feel connected to her because of Robin, but it just I still don't feel it. I don't feel
yeah.
it. So I felt it
Now,
felt so off for me.
going into yesterday, because I did ask the question yesterday as far as Cam leaving, and are you going to miss Cam? So the question to you, DC, is, are you going to miss Cam?
Well, shout out first of all to JLJ Media, the Anthony Zakharov soaps is in the chat.
Oh, JLJ Media, the one and only
The Anthony
Mr.
Zakharov
James Locke
soaps.
Jr.
With Cam, I mean, I'm not sure why William Tipton is leaving. I found out he's actually 19, so I'm not sure why William Tipton is leaving. But um, with Cam, the character wasn't developed enough. I don't know. I always feel like I'm always just critiquing self like everybody, right? But I feel like
Well,
Cam,
that's what your job is to
I
critique
don't
self.
know.
I'm just saying.
Cam to me was not really developed enough, honestly, as a character. And I feel like now without Jocelyn, I don't know what more. Yes, Gio Jimmy, his folk songs band. I actually listen to his music. The guy who plays Kimber Life. He has some good music. I have it on my phone. But
Yes,
anyways,
let's everyone say what's up to JLJ Media, aka James. Now, what was you
the
saying?
Anthony Zakharov soaps. But the thing about it is with Cam, is just I feel like his character, you could tell the writers are kind of like running out of ideas after he's no longer placed with Jocelyn. It was kind of like with Noah. For some reason, certain writers, if the characters aren't in a certain place, or certain characters that just may overall just struggle with. And I feel like I always felt like if Cam was not with Jocelyn, what purpose would he have? Because to me, they just haven't really developed him outside enough out of being Elizabeth's son and Jocelyn's boyfriend. There wasn't enough of a development outside that. So that's why I feel like now when Elizabeth has her own storyline going on, really, 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 really separate from Cam, and then Jocelyn's over here with Dex, aka Jason Jr., there's not much for them to relate on at this. Like, there's not much for them to write for him at this point. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, you're
What are your
exactly
thoughts
right.
on it?
I mean, he served his purpose, and now he can just peace on out. It's pretty much like what you said. He's not with Jocelyn anymore. He doesn't really have that whole connection thing with Trina because you got Trina and Spencer and stuff like that. So it's like they're not gonna really, and it's funny too because I saw some people snitches saying, "Oh, I think Cam and Asme will look cute together. I think they're gonna ship them together." I was like, no, 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 they're not gonna do that. Like literally, half of the reason why he's upset with this whole breakup thing is because of what Esme did. So I don't know what
Right.
planet that people actually think that they're gonna sit there and ship those two together. And like you said, they didn't really sit there and develop him outside of Liz, being a son. So it's like,
What could I have
yeah,
done?
and Frank exactly. And Franco's not there anymore, so it's not like he really has that thing going on. So it's yeah, yeah. It was pretty much time for him to go. And I will sit there and say this before I go, before I pass it over to you. I said this, and tell me if this makes sense. So we watched Joss before, and she's been kind of bratty and stuff like that, and she's been a little kind of mean, but she's never been to the point where she has completely disrespected Cam. Like when she was saying, "I don't owe you anything," I felt like that's because the actor was leaving. Like if the actor was still staying on, I don't feel that she would have been that dismissive towards them.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
What are your thoughts on that? Because like I felt like it was a little kind of odd. Like okay, well the actor's leaving and stuff like that, so it's whatever. But I felt like if the actor would have stayed, I don't feel like she would have been that cold hearted. You
Right,
know?
right, right. You know, one thing I would say is 'cause the first one addresses that Sammy wrote in the chat was about how this was a missed opportunity for the writers to make Cameron a character we care about, which I agree because during this whole sex tape storyline thing, we never got really his point of view. It was on Joss, which I get it. The woman kind of goes through a bit of scrutiny, but it would have been nice for the GH writers to do a little bit of a Uno reverse a little bit also for us to get a little bit of the man's point of view in that perspective. That would have been kind of nice. I get it. It's really the woman that goes to the scrutiny. I understand, but that would have been nice too. And Jocelyn is acting like that now because she's got her new boo. You know, here's the thing: when people are in relationships, once they get a new boo, they act like they don't know who the last person was. They act like they don't even know you. They moved on, like they had nothing to do with you. You're like, I love you. What they were for you. What these things for you. There were all these things for you, but when they get their new boo, their new babe, they're moving on. They don't even know you. They want nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? And that's why she's acting brand new. And you know, when her being with Dex gets her in trouble in a major way and possibly a gunshot wound or in the hospital, she'll understand that she had a good man at camera when those days go. She'll see that. She'll really see
I,
how those days go.
yeah, no, I don't know. I think that's probably why I got more annoyed with Joss than because here's the thing. Yes, you know, people break up all the time and stuff like that, and people do sit there and cheat on each other. But it wasn't so much the cheating part, because like Abby cheating on, you know, yes, Ariana, 44 people. I don't know how many likes do we have so far in the chat?
Let me see. I'm also on YouTube here on my phone. Let me see. 40, 30 likes. Well, 31 now because I just liked it.
Okay, so yeah, if you are enjoying the stream, hit the like button. Um, nice. Okay. But yeah, I felt like it was more extra when she was just like, oh well, you know, I don't owe you anything or anything like that. I was like, boy, y'all practically
Acting
grew up together.
stank.
You know what I'm saying? It was like y'all practically grew up together. Y'all were best friends before y'all even got into a relationship. And that's how you're gonna sit there and treat this dude at this point? Like, are you kidding me? So it felt like it was just something that was just kind of off about that whole thing, you know?
I feel like what happened with Jocelyn is now she's really become snobby. She's definitely not the Star Manning that she was being built up to be from the beginning by the writers. Because now she's got her new bag, she's got Dex, she's got all this other stuff. So now she thinks she's bigger than her britches, Britches. So you know, I I almost feel like whatever she gets to this point, she's walking into it. She deserves it. You know what I mean? She's walking into that. And when I saw Cam give compassion to Esme, I love that. You know, this whole redemption arc for Esme, I actually like it because the thing is, if a character is too much of a villain, you can't keep them on screen for too long. You just can't. It's impossible to do that. That's why we got so frustrated with Peter August because it's like this is not how this is supposed to work. That's why you have to redeem them at a certain point in time. And I love that Esme that he gave that grace towards Esme because she doesn't remember who she is. She doesn't. She doesn't remember who she is, and it's hard for her to, I think, um, even feel remorseful for something that you don't remember. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And frankly, there's a lot of people in Port Charles who have done worse things. You know, I feel like in a lot of ways, there's a lot of worse things. You know, um, but I was happy to see that scene where he showed compassion to Esme. And honestly, I was shipping them a little bit in my mind, as they say. I was shipping them in my mind for a few seconds. I was shipping them for a moment.
Now, see, my whole thing is like, I get what you're saying as far as, you know, you can't have a villain just be a villain for too long, but I guess that's maybe the problem because it's like when Esme first came to town, she really made the teen storyline really interesting. She gave him something to do. She really kind of shook up stuff. And so to have her sit there and be, you know, okay, they're going to redeem her, they're going to make her good and stuff like that. It's like, well, we need a villain. You know, we need a villain. I'm okay. Yeah, we got Victor and stuff like that, but who else do we have? We have Miss Wu, but we don't really, you know, they don't really sit there and show her too much. And when they do show her, she's sit there kissing Sonny's ring and stuff like that. So it's like we don't really have a villain. And I think that's why for me, it kind of disappoints, it kind of disappoints me a little bit that they're trying to redeem her. You know, I don't know what the good balance is between a good villain and a good, like redeeming and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess if you sit there and look at Sheila, they have her being a villain. She's been there too long, so you got that whole problem. You know,
I think what happened with Esme is I think that this is my theory, but I don't know because the GH writers, I feel like it's a little bit of Alzheimer's, a little bit not knowing who they are, it's a little bit of lazy writing, all mixed in between. So I don't know where we're gonna get at this point, but I feel like what would happen with Esme if the GH staff was on point. Let's just presume they're on point, right? So because which is not really most of the time now. Let's presume they're on point. I would presume that they would redeem Esme. She would find out that she's actually carrying Spencer's child and it's not Nicholas's, because I believe that is Spencer's baby. I will proclaim that to the day as long. That is Spencer's baby. All right. And that's why he feels this attachment. But then again, I don't even know how they're gonna go with this because the writing is all over the place. Can't predict anything. But I think that her and Spencer will probably fall back in love.
now I also feel like DC is going to get a lot of smoke in the chat after that. But yeah,
Yeah, the
um,
Sprina fans, it's a whole organization. But I think that she will over time fall back in love with Spencer, and he's gonna feel compassion. He's gonna be this new person. He's gonna see how she is with Ace, and Ace is going to be revealed to be his son. So his connection with Esme will grow stronger, and then Chana will have to figure out if she wants to be a stepmama or a side mama, whichever one she wants to be. um, but that's what I think is gonna happen, and I think once that's revealed, that's gonna be another roadblock and another thing that Sprina will have to like triumph over, see if they can get past. I still believe that's Spencer's baby. That is not like this Cat's Eye's baby.
and it's funny too because I kept sitting there saying that too because even though Spencer was like, "Oh, well, I didn't sit there and sleep with her in so long," I remember when Sean was like, "Yeah, I didn't sit there and have sex with Jan Spears," and then like after he was like, "Yeah, so that one time, I did do it." So yeah, I do kind of feel like that is. I feel like that was definitely possible for a hot minute. So I'm not going to sit there and put that past the writers. They could always do that down the line too. I guess maybe when they feel like I hate saying his name. The Sabrina fans are gonna be like really happy and really comfortable. They're gonna sit there and try to find a way to rock their world, like, oh, it's really Spencer's child, and like, dum dum dum. And I just feel like that's what's gonna end up happening.
I think
And
the
man,
Springer fans, Springer Nation, I think it's a force to actually reckon with in the soap world because I think they are literally influencing the storyline. I honestly do think so. I can feel it in my spirit.
you're not entirely wrong. You gotta sit there and think. They were on the cover of a magazine, People magazine, not that long ago. So you are definitely right
Yeah.
about that. And one thing I will sit there and say, at least Sabrina fans are actually a lot more happier than Taraya fans because they are getting the shaft like there's no tomorrow. They're not even in the episode. They were talking about the episode, like like backstage, like behind the scenes stuff or whatever, talking about how great it is for the 50th anniversary. I'm like, well, I don't know if you actually are that happy because you're not even in the show. You're not even in the
Right.
episode. 50th
Right.
anniversary, I feel like, all reality, I would be so pissed off if I was a Triad fan. Like, just massively disappointed. The most important stuff that's been happening so far with their storyline, and it all happens off screen? Like, really? But you're supposed to sit there and tell me that CBS actually cares about, representation. Yeah, that's a good
Now I
one.
want to say something about Soraya, but
No, 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 no. You don't start off a sentence without sitting there finishing it. So that's not how we roll in Bostic Enterprises. So
I think I just got Alzheimer's, like Mike from GH. So I can't remember.
Jesus Christ, I feel like that might actually be worse. I think at this point you should probably say whatever it is.
All right, you know what? This is my thing, and I could be wrong, guys. I reserve the right to take that mistake at any point in time. My attorney is Scott Baldwin, by the way, pay him a retainer. Uh, I don't feel, to me personally, like Taraya is a very dynamic couple, considering I've seen other couples written on soaps before. Now, would I have been nice and have more time? Yes, and maybe if I would see more time, I can see the more dynamic nature of them. But I haven't seen that in them, and I'm thinking of other LGBT soap couples. When I think of um, Maggie and Bianca from All My Children, Olivia and Natalia from Guiding Light. I don't see. I have a hard time seeing what everyone's seeing in this, I just have a hard time seeing what everyone's seeing in this. I don't, it might not be them. The writers haven't developed them out enough, but Will and Sunny were developed. Even Luke and Noah, Maggie and Bianca, Olivia and Natalia. I just don't see that development in Taraya that makes me invested. So I'm having a hard time seeing what everybody else is seeing. And the thing is, I think it's the thing because I've seen all 9 soaps. I'm always, which I shouldn't be. I'm always comparing one storyline to another or things from the past. Um, but yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You pretty much just like the writing from Ryan Test has just been very piss poor.
It
Bottom line,
has, it has. So I'm not invested in them. I'm really just
that
not
was what
invested in them as a
that's what you
couple.
was worried about saying.
Well, it's just so much that like I don't see what everybody else sees in them because everyone's like, "Oh, we want Tarai on," but why? My question is to a lot of these viewers, why do you want Tarai on? And okay, if it's a representation aspect, I totally get that. But past representation, let's say everyone on YNR is an LGBT character. What past representation does Taraya bring to the table? Is my question. Do you see what I'm saying? That's important for me. And granted, like I've always said before, I don't watch soaps for representation. I get it somewhere else, right? So, like I said, it's like in a marriage. When you're married to somebody, you're not getting what you need from them, so you go outside. You know, I step outside for it, but I stick around because I've been married to soaps for a long time. So, you know, we got kids in the house and stocks and bonds. So I stick around for that, but I get my fix somewhere else. That's how it is. That's my relationship with soaps. So I don't watch them for representation. I'm being for real.
Yeah,
But past representation, what does Mariah bring? Because Maggie and Bianca brought complexity. They brought storyline. They brought family arcs and dynamics. Luke and Noah brought that. Sonny and Will brought that. Olivia and Natalia was a different way of writing a story because these were two middle-aged women. But what is really Taraya story? I'm being honest. Yeah, exactly, Samuel. I don't care for them. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know where's the substance. It's a substance thing for me. You know, past representation. What do they bring to the table? I mean, for crying out loud, Ali Chanel brought more to the table, and maybe because the writers developed them more to where I actually cared about them. But Taraya, I just don't see it. I don't see it.
yeah.
I don't see it. Do
And
you see what I'm saying, Albert? Does that make sense?
no, no, and the thing is that makes sense because you've been watching YNR longer than me. You know, you've been
Right,
watching
right.
YNR longer than me, so it would make sense that you'd be like, yeah, I don't really see much in them. Like I said, I feel like it's definitely a shame because a lot of this stuff happens off screen, and they don't even give people like me, to actually really care and be like, really kind of, really invest myself into that story because half of the stuff that happens is off screen. Then when they come
Right,
in, you just
right,
have maybe one person and they're talking about all the stuff that happened off screen, and it's just like, why do I care?
right,
I don't
right,
care.
right.
I've been watching this for like literally 4 to 5 months, and you're not giving me anything to care about because I don't see you. You know?
Because I personally don't see the chemistry there, Mariah and Tess. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I don't see couple when I see Mariah and Tess. I just see two girls that just happen to be friends. Like, I just see friendship vibes. Like with Paul and Andrew on days, I don't really see the chemistry between the two of them. You know, so I understand people got their representation mark box checked off, so they're so excited. But past that, what else is being brought to the table? And so, you know, that's that's what I'm not seeing. That's personally what I'm not seeing, right? I just don't see the development in them, the chemistry, the stuff that makes me really want to actually care about this pairing. So that's my thing with that. That's what I'll say to that.
Now, what stuff have you been keeping up with when it comes to us being big?
All right, so I know that Ridge has got the little man bun thing, working with the
Yeah.
FBI, or AKA Patrick Thornhart. That's why I see Zack Slater and Patrick Thornhart when I see Ridge. I don't see because I'm used to Ron Moss being Ridge for the longest time. See now, Albert, you've accepted a Thorsten K because this is the only Ridge you know. You know, this
Yeah,
is the
pretty
only
much.
you
Yep.
know. I know
Exactly.
Ron Moss as Ridge, and Thorsten K. I'm not used to Thorsten K as Ridge and him struggling to even get out a word. He always sounds like he needs a bottle of water when he's shouting, you know. But I'm not used to Thorsten K as Ridge. So, but where I'm at with B&B right now is I'm here with Thorsten K. Well, okay, Ridge and Bill, and now they're working on the FBI, and so that's now been established on B&B, and the connection between Thomas and Hope. Um, and honestly, that was a good twist. Actually, I thought that was a pretty good twist that Ridge and Bill working together. Because I honestly thought Bill and Sheila were really in love. I was like, wow, this is giving passion. This is giving Twilight Zone. This is giving, you know. But then they did a whole flip the script on us. And see, this is what I like about B&B. This is stuff that YNR could be giving us, but they just choose not to for whatever reason. I give B&B. B&B has actually, I feel, been taking a change from a lot of their storylines. I appreciate it. The Brooke and Ridge thing, that seems like they're finally listening to us and putting that to bed. You know what I mean? They're putting Ridge and Bill working together to take down Sheila. I didn't see that coming, and I'm like, damn, these are good things YNR could be doing, like stuff like this. But for some reason, they just choose not to do it. So I think honestly, I've been pretty impressed with B&B. What are your thoughts so far?
I've been loving B&B. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, because I always go into B&B just being like, you know what, I can't take this seriously. I just have to enjoy whatever craziness that happens. But I will sit there and say that I did love that twist. I didn't see that coming with Bill and Ridge. Given all the stuff that Bill did to Ridge, as far as like, didn't he toss him out of a helicopter and blow up a building, a whole bunch of
Yeah, I
other
wouldn't be
stuff?
working with somebody that tossed me out of a helicopter. It's on site every time I see you.
Exactly. But the fact that they did that was just like, and the thing was, they were talking about Ridge even before this happened. So they actually did do a really good build up. Like, yeah, Ridge is doing this, Ridge is finding himself, yada yada yada. Turns out Ridge is in LA since they're working with the FBI, having Bill walk in, talk about, hey partner, how's everything going? And it was just amazing. I loved it.
But what I
Now,
don't get though is that they had evidence to bring down Sheila before, and Steffi was going to testify, but she chose not to because of Bill. So didn't they just sabotage what was already going to work against Sheila in the first place?
I said that at first, and you know what? I accepted the fact that they were like, they wanted her to go to jail for a longer time. They wanted her to go to jail for
Right.
like murder one. The whole bees thing. You remember when she killed the dude with bees and stuff like that?
Murder one. Yeah, yeah, I remember
I'm
that.
just, I'm just, I'm just saying, like, here's the thing. You just have to kind of just accept it for what it is. So it's like, you know what? Fine. They want her to go to jail much longer. Cool. And that was fun. And you know what? I also enjoyed the back and forth with Bill and Ridge. I enjoyed their comedy, their banter and stuff like that. That stuff worked for me. Everything else started to fall apart. Like, I don't know if you watched today's episode or whatever, but like, Jesus Christ, there was just things where it's just like, y'all couldn't even hire extras to come in. Like, I don't want to spoil it for you, but
You might as well just tell me.
there's one point where she falls off the balcony, but the whole time they're like, Bill, we need you to sit there and keep her. We need you to keep her there for a little bit until we can get a team in place. I'm like, why are they not there for her? And even when she escapes, because she escapes, I'm just like, where are the cops at? Where's the extras? You guys couldn't even afford to sit there and hire a couple of people off the streets or whatever to put on some FBI agent groups or like coast and stuff like no one was there. It was literally just bills that they're trying to catch up to Sheila. And I'm like, why are the cops not here? What's going on? What's taking so long? Like none of this stuff is making sense. And I'm just like, wait, I have to remember to turn off my brain. Just turn it off a little bit when I'm watching B&B because it's. I feel like I'm gonna get like a brain aneurysm or something.
My whole thing is with this whole storyline is, why is Bill working to take down Sheila? Like I don't. I'm trying to figure out what's the reason why, because she didn't come after Liam or Wyatt or Hope or so. And I guess I could see Steffi being the mother of his grandchild, but like, why would he feel this need to take down Sheila in a sense? I just it doesn't. I mean, was that explained?
No, I mean he just kept just saying talking about taking down both, saving Sheila, saving our families from Sheila or whatever. No, it really didn't make a
But
lot of sense.
Sheila didn't really attack his family. It just definitely seems so off-putting. And the way
Well,
they're
I
working
guess
with the
Steffi.
FBI, it's as if they paid them or something.
Well, Steffi by proxy because they share grandchildren and stuff like that.
Right.
That's I mean, it's a stretch. It's a
Very
stretch.
much spandex,
Okay.
spandex
Yeah.
stretch.
Yes. And that's the thing. But the thing is, like, yes, it's stupid. There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make a lot of sense. But when you watch B&B, you have to sit there and look at it like a different energy. Like each show has its own energy. Like GH
That's
has his
true.
own energy with a dozen of people, whatever. Days it's usually always on point.
GH has a
Why
confused energy. Yeah. Yes.
exactly? Y&R, I don't know what the hell they're doing sometimes. Every once in a while they'll get some stuff right, and then it's just whatever. And B&B is just comedy at best. So you kind of accept it for what it is.
Yeah, because like YNR has always been the business soap. GH was the mob soap. Days was kind of like the supernatural and eccentric soap, and then B&B was like the fashion and the glamorous soap and all this stuff. So like you can kind of see those distinct personalities
Yeah,
in all of them. But the problem is right now with GH, since they're not doing mob stuff anymore, they don't. It's like they're having identity crisis, and it's unfolding before our eyes right now as viewers. Right, it's obvious. And then YNR, they did the business thing for a while, but the problem is, and I was talking about this with a friend of mine because we were talking about British soaps, American soaps, where British soaps, everybody's middle class, but American soaps, there's always a haves and the have-nots. But that may not necessarily be the true representative of how the majority of society is living. So in Y&R, everyone owns a business conglomerate. I can't relate. I don't know a lot of people who have that. Really. I'm just keeping it a buck, okay? I don't know a lot of people who have that. So Y&R, we don't really see a lot of character development there, right? And so that worked for some time, but now it's kind of like it's not working anymore. And B&B, with its smaller cast and its recycled storylines, it's worked for a while, but now as viewers, we've tired out. So a lot of what's worked for those soaps in the past are no longer working anymore at this point. But yeah.
yeah, no, I 100% agree with everything that you just said. Um, but yeah, it's just been crazy, and now you have the whole Thomas and Hope working together, and
We
that's a
love that.
whole
We love
mess.
that.
But
He
my
deserves
whole
to be
thing is like
redeemed.
exactly. Well, it's not even just that. It's just a simple fact that people were really defending Hope, and I'm just like, your fashion line is sucking now. You need Thomas to sit there and make your fashion line better. We took a whole week before she decided she was going to do the right thing to save her business, and I'm just like, why did it take a whole week? Your fat either kill the fashion line because a lot of people sit there saying your stuff is boring and it's been going on too long, or get Thomas back. Pick a lane. I don't care which lane you pick. Just pick a lane.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing with B&B is that like we're finally getting a little bit of character development on B&B, which we haven't seen, what I feel, in some time. Um, and in terms of Hope, Liam to me feels like Hope's wife at times, and I'm not saying that in a sex way. Okay, let me explain how I feel about that comment. Okay, that's gonna sound bad because I was it's like I'm saying women always complain all the time. That's not what I'm saying, guys. Okay, let me just start over. Let me just start over. Okay, I'm gonna just start over.
Just
Let's
digging.
rewind it back. Let's rewind it back. All right.
You need a
Liam to
shovel?
me,
I'm just saying.
I'm getting buried alive right now. I'm burying myself alive. It's giving Carly Alamine days. Bury myself alive right now. But Liam to me, I'm almost wondering what purpose does he serve on B&B at this point? Because I don't see Liam really contribute anything, do anything. So I'm like, what purpose does he really serve at this point? And I feel like Thomas and Hope, there's more development there. There's more of a story there with Thomas and Hope a little bit. Um, and I feel like Thomas has every right to redeem himself. And I'm happy that Hope is giving him that chance. I still have a struggle with him having to like barter for time from his own son from a woman who's not the biological mother of his child. But that's another story for another day of VB. But the development that they're giving Thomas to me, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that a lot, honestly, the storyline. Because I just feel like Liam doesn't serve a purpose on B&B.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and then unfortunately, and that's the whole thing. And then like the problem is that the so we talked about. I'm just not there reading what Samuel said.
Yeah, I read
Um,
that too. That's why I was smiling. Yeah, I read that too.
Kind of threw me off for a second, but the problem is we talked about all the good stuff. We talked about all the good stuff that happened. So like everything else just kind of falls apart. Like, do you even really care about Katie and Carter's relationship? And then you got Paris and Zende and like
I can't take
everything
Carter
else.
seriously.
Why? Because of his acting?
No, it's just the way they've written the character. I can't take him seriously when he's in the storyline. It's just he's become so background. They're trying to make him forefront, and it was working at one time. I just can't take his character serious because I just know it's not going anywhere, and the writer's right for him. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, no. I was just gonna sit there and say like I don't really care about the whole unless they give them something to do. You know, because a lot of times, like I think it was an episode, he just showed up or whatever. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I was like, "Bro, we don't even need you in the scene." Like, you had Katie, you had Brooks, and they're talking, and their conversation was already boring. Why are you here for? Like, what are you doing here? You're not. The only thing I felt like he was doing was taking up oxygen out the room at that point. That was it. That was literally all I saw him doing.
And he mentioned the other day that he was on. It was like a week or two or something like that ago, where he mentioned he's been on the show for 10 years. Like he mentioned he's been
Yeah.
part of their life story. I'm like, damn, and you still haven't gotten a good storyline.
I mean,
And all this time,
I got to sit there and ask you: did they actually give him? Well, did they give him stories or they gave him stories? It just wasn't good, or because they gave him
so
stories
so
like
this
with
so this is
Quinn
the
and
thing.
stuff.
So Justin, I don't know if you remember Justin, the guy who used to work for Bill.
Yeah,
Justin Barber, who is a cousin to Lily and Neil and Devon. So Justin Barber had a child with Donna, which is Brooke's sister. And so Carter was the foster brother of Donna's son. And that's how he got introduced on the show. But there has not been, in my opinion, no development past that. I mean, my God, this was worse when Victor St. Lawrence played Remy on Guiding Light. But on Remy, Guiding Light, he got way better storylines than what he's getting now. Way better than this. So Carter has not gotten no good storylines. And the thing is, there was a time back in the day when B&B was actually really writing well for the cast, and it felt like an ensemble, right? But the problem is some soaps, and this is my own opinion based on my analysis, some soaps they can't be written as an ensemble because of the way they've set the tone. Like GH can't be written as an ensemble cast because they've always had a main character protagonist. All My Children can pretty much be ensemble, even though Erica Kane was considered the main character. And then One Life to Live was definitely ensemble, even though Vicky was in the back as main character. But soaps like GH, they couldn't do it, and soaps like B&B, it's tough for them to do that. They're trying to run ensemble, and it's not working in that same type of capacity. Does that make sense a little bit?
yeah,
So As Well Turns was ensemble cast. There was no main character in As Well Turns. I don't know if someone would disagree with me. I don't feel there was a main character on that, or a guy like or one could say Reba, but on B&B, it's just so when I'm looking at Carter, it's just
exactly.
it's not, but like B&B doesn't know how to write an ensemble. That's not their forte, and I just wish they would try to stop. They would just stop. I mean, I get them attempting to give him a storyline, but it's not there. They haven't developed him out, and I don't think they would. And I honestly forgot that him and Katie were together. I can't even take that couple seriously. I can't. I'm taking Deacon and Sheila more seriously than I am those two.
Yeah, yeah, that's
But
very
but
true.
they've written for them. But they've written for them for Sheila and Deacon.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. And one other thing I will sit there and say before we move on, um, is that when you got is that the guy?
Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
No, it's when you have Thomas. And at one point, Thomas feels like a lot of people feel like Thomas can't get redeemed. Every time he starts something with him, they always kind of, get him right back to the drawing board. But yet, people are upset that you got Sheila that is at one point was having two people fight over her. Like Sheila was getting more of a storyline than Thomas, and Thomas practically had to start from the bottom, go all the way up to the top, and then just get knocked back down again. So you got that whole thing going on. Um, how many likes do we have so far? See, this is another thing I do not like about StreamYard because you cannot see the likes. You also can't do any
That's
polls.
why I always have the YouTube app. You gotta have the YouTube app with a little sidebar. We got 36 likes. 36 likes.
Okay, so we got 36 likes. We got 48 people in the chat. So if you are enjoying the stream, hit the like button. It actually really does help.
But let
Um,
me ask this. Okay, wait, so go ahead.
I just want to thank everyone for just joining joining with us in the chat. What was you gonna say?
What do you think about the favorite child, our favorite child of soaps, aka Days, which is like the favorite child? They've just they. What are your thoughts on it? Before I say anything, I want to get the CEO of Boston Enterprises thoughts first.
Well, you got. I was gonna sit there and call him Jason. Jesus Christ! See, this is where we have Harrison, Jason 2.0. Now, what are your thoughts about Harrison as far as you know being so much like Jason? Because I remember you said something. And I was sitting there giving you credit for it because you was like, maybe that's just how Steve knows how to act. When it comes towards Harrison and when it comes towards Jason. Or do you? Maybe it's just me, but I feel like maybe he is actually trying to be more Jason than you know,
You
or
know,
was he like that with was he like that on YNR as Dylan?
Dylan McAvoy. No, Dylan McAvoy was a lot more of had a more of a personality. So I definitely felt like in some ways that in terms of Steve Burton playing um Harris, it does feel like another Jason 2.0. I won't even lie, it definitely does. It definitely does feel like that because I don't see. Sorry, my camera's fogging up. It should get clear in a minute, but I don't see the differences within that. Um, I don't think he knows anything. Like I think that's probably he plays best, and so he's just playing to that strength because as Dylan Malkovich, he was a very forgettable character. Sadly enough, and he was trying something different. He was definitely trying something different at that time, but um, in terms of sorry, my cat is distracting me. Hold on, give me 1 second. Sorry about that, cat's distracting me. But in terms of that, I feel like when he was still McAvoy, he tried to play something different, and it just didn't work out. It didn't play that strength. So to me, it does feel like Jason all over again. But maybe that's what's working. But then again, I don't know the character of Harris Michaels. I'm not familiar with him, so I don't know
Now,
if this is
Chris.
normal for the character or not.
Now, Krista said Harrison came before Jason down. But my whole thing is, I feel like maybe he is trying to be more Jason on purpose because he does have a lot of fans, and people are just like, hey, you know what? Listen, if I'm not going to get my fix on GH or Jason, then I'll just go to Days. I
Right,
feel like
right,
that
right.
might actually be somewhat, and maybe it's just my whole thing, but I feel like maybe it's a conspiracy thing, but I feel like he is trying to be more like Jason to get a lot of fans that did miss Jason that know that they can't get him on GH to go to Days because
Right.
yeah,
So to take the GH fans away from, I mean, is that impossible? I mean, Days is on Peacock, so can you really take them away at this point?
you kind of can, yeah, you actually can if you get people to stop because there was a lot of people that wanted to stop watching the show when Steve left. So
Right.
the fact that he's on another show that's being a character that people are familiar with, yeah, it's 100% possible.
I mean, it's possible because when Maurice Bernard was on All My Children, he played Nico Kelly. He was to me playing a young Sonny Corinthos in my mind, and it's not because I see him with Sonny Corinthos, but like some people they just play the same thing. Like okay, Roger Howarth, how he is right now as Austin Gatton Hall was the same way he was as Franco, was the same way when he played Paul Ryan in As World Turns, and was the same way during his later days in One Life to Live before his first exit. So, some people that are playing this the same. I mean, even right now, Cynthia Watros, she is totally playing Annie Dutton right now, like the little tidbits, and it's not because I'm looking for it, right? But I can see and feel the distinct differences. Like, okay, Leo Stark is totally different from Kevin Fisher on YNR, completely different, day and night, and that's how you know we got a true actor on our hands.
Really?
Okay,
Oh, really? Because I feel like he's playing almost the exact same character. Like his
no, Leo and
maybe
Kevin
maybe
are
because
completely
his
different.
mannerisms and stuff like that seems like they're very similar when he tells a joke and stuff like that. Maybe he's not as eccentric, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the difference between the two.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because the character of Leo has more of a boisterous personality, where Kevin was more recluse. He had this whole creepy thing going on, and then obviously he kind of submerged and got away from that. But very different. They're completely. Those two characters are just like I said, completely night and day. Like okay, Eileen Davidson, when she plays Ashley Abbott on YNR, like Kristen Demera on Days, night and day. once again, it's another night and day, which I can appreciate because we're able to properly distinguish who these characters are and not feel like you're just on here because of your name. And you're just playing like you're yourself in a way, you know? Like, okay, two completely different people. Like, okay, Ridge on B&B and Zack Slater on My Children, definitely two completely different characters as well. Definitely completely two different characters.
But then you got
I thought
Justin, and you got that was his name, Justin, and
Justin
well, why?
B&B.
Yeah, no, no, no. I
Oh,
mean,
oh,
just
Justin and
yeah,
Ned.
yeah, Justin
Oh
and
yeah,
Nat,
they're
which
the
I
same
feel
thing.
like
They're the
are
same
the
thing. Those are
exact
the
yeah,
same people.
yeah.
They're the same people.
And what do
It's
you
just
think
like
about now? What do you think about Ben and Sierra coming back to the show?
that to me with Ben and Sierra was interesting, which I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. I like it because it kind of reminds me of when Kristen would be Kristen or she would be Susan Banks. So I feel like that's kind of what we're getting with Robert Scott Wilson is like that dual thing. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, tell you the truth, I don't really. I'm just waiting for them to leave. Honestly, like Sierra's just been pissing me off. Sierra's been pissing me off, and like Ben is just like it's like a low version energy of Alex, and I'm just like, so when are you leaving? That's all I
Right,
keep saying.
right, right. I mean, I guess they're bringing them on for hope storyline, but you know what's weird? This whole storyline that they've got going on in the Demira Enterprises Labs with Megan, it feels like it's two different shows. Is that just me?
Yeah. No, 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 no. You're
In
right.
this
It
weird
feels
way.
like it's it feels like it's a little bit like beyond Salem a little bit, but like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, you're exactly right.
It doesn't feel like it's like because we just had everyone in Salem in the town square having this conversation. It's like it feels like they're in their own world. Like I feel like this is not like they're not. It's like beyond, like I said, beyond Salem. Like it feels like they're on their own thing going on. I
Which,
feel like
by
I'm the
the
only
way,
person that felt that.
no, no, no. You're exactly right. You know, I found it really funny when I was sitting there thinking about Beyond Salem because I remember that week you had Beyond Salem, and you had Days of Our Lives, and they did not. I felt like in a lot of ways they didn't really try to connect the shows too well. Like they wanted it to be their own shows. They wanted to have like okay, we're gonna sit there and maybe bring this character into this show. But there was one scene with Paulina. She did not talk about the episodes, like she did not talk about the events that happened in Beyond Salem as far as her getting robbed with I can't remember those two
Oh
characters.
yeah, when they're in Miami, they got robbed. Yeah, I remember that storyline.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
remember
like she
that.
was like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, that was a crazy trip or whatever." It was like, "What trip? What happened during that trip?" Hey, lady, I want to know what happened during that trip. I didn't watch Beyonce. What happened during that trip? Now I
But I
watched
feel
it,
like
but
the
if you
writers did
didn't
that on
watch it,
purpose because they wanted you to watch first Beyonce, so you have to find out, and then so that way, when they came around that $4.99 for the second Beyonce, you was gonna make sure you paid
no,
that.
no,
So
and
they
that's
want
the
to give
thing.
no free.
And I get that, but again, it felt like it was two different shows. It was like, they didn't really do a good job as far as connecting them. Like the stuff that happened on Beyond Salem, it didn't really matter that much. It's only
Do
they're
you
only
think?
starting to talk about it more now than they was when it happened.
Do you think they did better than GH Night Shift and GH did with the connections?
Hard to say. That's hard to say. In some ways, no, because they did actually get some characters from the night shift into the regular show.
Oh
They had
snap!
some
You're
nurses.
right.
They had some nurses that came in. They had this guy named Cody or whatever. He came in. He started to become.
You're right about that.
He was in
Yeah.
Sunny's organization or whatever. So they actually did do a better job as far as blending in the two shows. Yeah.
Right. Right. Because now, like I said, it just feels like two different shows. Because I was watching the other day, I was like, why does it feel like the Bo and Marlena and all them Meg Hathaway is like completely different from the other half of Canvas? Like I get that they're on another island and stuff and all that stuff, but it really just feels like two different shows because it, I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like I was watching just two totally different shows. Like it was like
No, no,
the
you
concept
are
of it.
not the only. You're not the
I'm glad I
only
wasn't
one.
the person who felt that way. I'm glad I wasn't the person who felt that way because this is just me. I feel this way. It's like two totally different things, but I do like these storylines. I mean, what are your thoughts on these storylines
I'm
with
I'm
Bo and
I'm, I'm
Meg
loving the
Hathaway?
storyline so far. I mean, well, with this whole Bo and Kayla thing, I think it was a little kind of like the dude was meant to act like he didn't care about anything else, but yet Oh, I don't care about Rome. I don't care if I sit there and shoot Kayla, shoot Kate. But Kayla, I want you to sit there and come with me. And I'm going to sit there and put you at gunpoint so you can come with me. It's like you just sat there and act like you didn't care about anything else, your past life, whatever. But yeah, you're going to sit there and take her at gunpoint. You want to sit there and tell me how that makes sense? Um, so it also I don't understand how this woman has so much money and she couldn't be bothered to hire any goons or anything like that. You got Steve and John just roaming through the island, sneaking around. I was like, why are you sneaking around for? There's no one here. There's no one here. I mean, none of that just made sense.
But you know it's so we have to suspend some of our comments.
You gotta suspend some belief, but Jesus Christ. I mean, there's some
Yeah,
belief. And then you got Megan with the whole needle, whatever. She's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna give your brain a tune-up." This man literally does not want to be there. He's sitting there talking about how he doesn't want to be there. You're like what, 120 something pounds? You really think you're just gonna stick him with the needle and he's just gonna be cool with that?
yeah.
What happened to your henchmen? Oh, wait a minute. We don't have henchmen. I guess we can't sit and afford that in the budget. Like, come on. Like some of this stuff, I mean, like, again, you can disbelieve some of this stuff, but some of this stuff is just yeah,
And you
yeah,
know the thing is what too I want to add with Sierra and Ben, and that because that didn't really make much sense, but I get it because Sierra was there. Because here's the thing, I think because the actress play Sierra left the show, they couldn't keep Ben on because that was
yeah,
his only saving grace, getting his whole history. So that's, but they didn't want Robert Scott Wilson to go because he is, I think he's pretty good for the show. So they created this Alex persona for him, which I think that was fair enough. That was fair enough. They gave him that duality to work with. That was fair enough. Um, but I do wonder, Victoria, if I want to say if Ciara comes back to show full time, because in a weird way, Ciara and Alex are cousins, right? It's so weird. Some universe they are,
yeah,
right?
yeah. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
It's
Oof.
weird. Some universe they're actually cousins, right? So it's a. I would love for them to meet. That would be interesting, but I don't know if the show do that. I think they just created that for Robert Scott so he wouldn't have to leave the show because, like I said, his character just would not make sense without Ciara.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, you're one. In all reality, at first I was kind of worried about that whole thing. Like Ben leaves, and then you have to hope Beyond Salem.
Sorry about that. I'm still here. Sorry about that. I had to. My
No, no,
cat was
that's
at the
fine.
door. Sorry.
No, no, you had the whole. It was an odd switch because it didn't really give us a lot of time in between Alex and between Ben and Alex because he was on Beyond Salem, so we were still watching him. But in all reality, it for me it worked. Um,
It did. It did. I feel like
I,
they
I don't, I
created a
don't, I don't mind.
persona
Yeah, I
decent
don't
enough.
mind. Yeah, exactly. I don't mind him being on the show. Um, I don't know. I mean, could they actually do that though? Like, could you actually picture Ben and Ciara actually come back permanently when you have Alex in there?
And I'm gonna tell you why I think that could work because it did it with Kristen playing her and Susan Banks, Adam and Stuart Chandler. Because I didn't even know until years later that Adam and Stuart Chandler were played by the same actor. I thought literally the actor had twins because they both had them in the opening intro. So I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's very that's very true.
that gave that impression. Okay, and even the actress who plays Marlena, she has a twin sister in real life who played her twin sister on the show, Samantha Evans.
Well, she has a real life twin
Yes,
sister, like
my twin sister.
identical.
Yes.
Crazy,
And so
mind
she
blown.
played her
Okay.
twin sister Samantha Evans on Days, right? So yeah, this is Bible. So that's why I always thought Adam and Stuart were two different people because they were both with opening intro credits. I'm like, you wouldn't do that; they're the same person, but they did. So it's like I think it could work if it's written correctly. So that's why with Steve Burton, he's currently playing Jason pretty much 2.0 or maybe Harrison 2.0. I don't know how we want to put it at this point in time, but a good actor can show that range and like, hey, I'm coming back as a completely different character, a completely different person. Kind of like Rebecca, Shaw, and Emily. We should be able to see that duality. They should be able to present that. So I think Robert Scott can handle that and he can work with that. He can actually do that duality.
But now, okay, I guess it could work, but I think what they would probably have to do. I had a cat, but what I
Yes.
was sitting there, what I was sitting there saying with Susan Banks and Kristen, there's a time
Yes, go ahead. Sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Go ahead.
So there's a time. I feel like there's a time lapse though. Like there's a lot of time where you get to see a lot of Susan Bank, and then eventually you get to sit there and see Kristen, as
Right.
opposed to Alex and Ben, which I feel like they're gonna be on so much more. You know what I'm saying? Like so, it's gonna be very interesting how they're gonna split their time.
Coming together. I
You
mean, one
know?
thing could have been better had Alex and Ben been twin brothers, but that wouldn't have worked because how they were trying to put Alex and Stellan to Kyriakis is because okay, Adam and Stu being twins will work where you can have them on the screen at the same time. It's not awkward.
Yes.
But Ben and Alex are not related. So like how do you explain it to
Yeah.
the viewers who are looking at it? But then again, Kristen and Susan Banks are not related.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's actually true.
So I don't know.
And you
So
know
does
what?
it make that work?
And it's really funny for when I started watching the show, I thought that there was different people playing Susan and Kristen. I didn't know
Really?
that they were the same person. And somebody in the comment section told me, I was like, oh wow, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's I mean that's how that range is there. That range is shown. So I mean I guess it could work. And but this is why just like I said, I feel like with Days they've been actually doing a great job. I just hope the storyline doesn't get too monotonous because now that we know Bo's alive, let's move it along. Let's move on to the next steps of the storyline, but connect it back to the canvas as well. I do want to ask you though, what do you think about this? I think I forgot her name. It's oh god, now I'm forgetting both of them. Jada's sister. Is it Talia? I think her name is Talia,
Yes,
right?
Totally. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
The
What do
the
you think
woman
about that new?
that's a doctor, and she could be an astronaut, and she could
I didn't see
be
that to what's coming though. I didn't see
could
that
be
to
a
what's coming. Which
basketball
is not
player.
there.
I'm not gonna lie, I
Yeah.
felt like that was just so out of pocket. Like, okay, fine, whatever. But it just seemed like it just came out of nowhere. Like, oh yeah, by the way, she's a doctor. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Is she an astronaut next? Is she like is she a boxer next? I don't know. Something about the way that you just kind of sprung on the doctor part just seemed kind of odd. But I'm like, you know what, whatever, fine. Um, I don't know how to feel about her character so far. I don't think she's a bad character. I feel like it's just one of those wait and see things. You still have the whole Jada and Rafe, and are they going to hook up and stuff like that? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because there's a
Um,
power dynamic, so some
I'm
people are kind of bothered by that.
I'm here for it because I was kind of concerned that after Jade and Eric weren't together anymore, that they weren't going to be no more development for Jada, but they quickly broke that in with her sister. I do want to ask though, why do you feel like it was like so just sprung on Talia to be a doctor? Why do you feel that was sprung on?
I don't know. It just was good, Polka Dots. Thank you for joining us. I don't know. Maybe it just seemed like it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like it was just something about the reveal that just have a good night, Gwen. It was something about the reveal that just seemed like she wanted to come in and be a baker and stuff like that. And then her sister was like, "Oh yeah, well, why would you sit there and be a baker when you're a doctor?" It just something about that just seemed very left field. I'm gonna go with it, but it just seemed like it was just kind of left field. It's hard to sit and explain. Maybe it's just a feeling that just kind of I don't want to
Was
sit
it
there and
because it
say,
was like those are two drastically different careers?
yeah. It was like, oh, I want to be a baker. It was like, oh, I'm gonna sit there and be a baker. It's like, but you're a basketball player. They need you on the court. It just seemed like it was just so random. I guess that was my whole thing. Was I know it's gonna probably play a part later on in the show because you don't have Sarah Horton. I think the actress left, so maybe
Yeah.
that's why they picked Doctor out of all the things. But I don't know. It just seemed kind of random out of
Because
nowhere.
everyone on a soap is either like a bar owner, a business conglomerate, a doctor, or a lawyer. Those are usually like your career choices.
Or no, a cop, a cop. You gotta have a
Oh, a
cop.
cop, a cop, a
You
cop,
gotta
a
have a
cop,
cop.
a cop. So I mean, because I think Trip went to medical school for like 3 months. And all of a sudden, he was in his residency. I was like, okay, that's a quick medical school. Can I go? What are
And
the
he's not
requirements?
wrong. And he's not wrong. That's the sad thing. He's
Yeah.
not even wrong. We're laughing about that, but he's not wrong. I do remember him sitting being like, "Oh, I'm going to be a doctor," and then out of nowhere, he's a doctor, just like that. So yes,
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, okay, okay. I mean, also, so what are your thoughts on the? Well, I guess I don't know if that's even a conversation anymore about Alicia and Gabby at this point. I mean, I don't think that's even like much to even discuss there at this point, right? With the 6 month contract.
Yeah, I'm. Here's the thing about Shin. I feel bad for Shin. Oh my god. So, did you watch today's episode of Days of Our Lives?
So I've only seen Monday's days, but we can get into it.
Nah, because EJ had this plan of trying to expose Gabby, whatever. In this way, he can get the shares or whatever. He can sit there and team up with Shin. And so they made this plan where Gabby and Stefan were supposed to hook up at this hotel. And he's not there telling Shen, he's like, hey, listen, your girl's out there, messing around with Stefan or whatever. He called him a cuckold. And I was like, wait, what?
Okay, so this is them getting to the racy part now. The peacock,
Yeah, exactly.
the
I
peacock
was
version
like,
officially hitting the streets. Yeah.
exactly. He was like, come on now, don't be a cuckold. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I actually had to rewind that because I was like, okay, I'm not drinking. So did he really just say that? Like, it was something that was just so out of left field that I was just like, I gotta sit there and talk to DC about that because I was like, okay, yeah, we're definitely a little more spicier now. So that day stuff is that online stuff is definitely kicking in now. We're getting into the online content.
I actually just looked it up because I thought that word had a different meaning than I thought it is, but
Yeah,
the
me
meaning
too.
actually is not that bad to what I thought it was. That,
Yeah, but
but
it's
maybe
just
it
a
still
simple
means what
fact
I
that
also think it means too. Because that two meanings.
it's
Good.
just the way it's just the fact that he said that and it was like that's not something that you would say on TV in general, regular basic cable, whatever. You wouldn't sit there and hear that.
How do you
Or
feel
at least
about them bringing raciness though into like the soaps, like for days on being on Peacock?
see, I'm fine with it, but I do remember that people had an issue with when like One Life to Live and stuff like that went on Hulu and they started cursing and stuff like that, and people were just like, whoa, 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 hey, I'm not used to that cursing stuff. I don't mess with that type of stuff. So I think that the way they're doing it now is very smooth and it's not overt. It's not overly overt. You know what I'm saying? It's not like over the top or anything like that. Like I still remember on days on Beyond Salem when Ciara said shit and I was just like, I'm sorry, what? But it was on Peacock, so it's like, they was able to get away with it. I think as long as they don't get over the top with what they're doing, I think they'll be fine. Because you can ease people into that stuff a little bit as long as you don't go over the top.
And the thing about it is that there was even once a time where, if we're talking about 1930s, 1950s when soaps were on, they didn't even use the B word. And now we do. That back then that would have been like, whoa, hold
Yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah,
hold the
yeah,
phone. I would have hold the phone moment for them back then. But now it's normal for us. So I think what the writers are trying to do is ease us into this, try not to go too extreme too soon, but ease us in slowly, a little bit here and there, a little word here and there,
yeah.
so they can fully go in. And that's what they're waiting for at this point.
Hmm.
So I think that's actually smart on their part to actually go like that give us a slow burner with it and not just try to just fling it all at us all at once.
Yeah, because again, that's when I was just saying about like all my children and want to live. Like they start cursing and stuff like that, and people were just they just weren't ready for it. And then of course the spicy scenes and stuff like that, people aren't ready for that. So
But
it's
I never noticed that when I watched it.
I don't know. I remember Rock TV was there talking about it, and I do remember seeing a couple of commercials. I was like, okay, all right, I guess we're going there. But it was never. Well, they only show whatever they thought that they could show on commercials for TV at the time. But I don't know. I heard it got kind of risque, like kind of OF content, if you know what I'm saying.
Right, right. I mean, there was a time like shower scenes in soaps would not have aired back in the 40s, the 50s, so that we slowly evolved there as we are right now. It's slowly gotten to that point with them allowing that. I mean, there was even a storyline on As World Turns where one of the characters slept with her sister's husband and she had gotten pregnant. But because there was such controversy from viewers and they feel like it was inappropriate for a TV show, and they didn't want to get canceled. Aswell turns aside to have that character miscarry the baby, and they never put her together because they didn't want. Yeah, that was considered too rocky for the show at the time,
Wow.
believe it or not.
What show was that? As a
This is
world.
As the World Turns. As the World Turns with Bob and Kim. This is As the World Turns with Bob and Kim. So they didn't put Bob and Kim together until the 80s, some good 10 or 15 years later, because that's when then it was safe enough to kind of bring them together now.
Yeah. Wow.
So the writers had to wait almost 10, 15 years to tell a story they really wanted to tell. With those two.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you got days, you got like threesome scenes and stuff like that. So you got, they they're doing something else. People still sit there and say that might be a little too much, which is like, I get it, because like for me, I'm a pervert, so like nothing is too extreme for me. But I understand
I,
how some people have certain sensibilities where it's just like, I think it's a little bit too
I didn't
much.
think it was
So
that bad either, honestly, because
it was
honestly,
that
there's
bad. It was
nothing that I think
literally
is
one extra person.
too much for me. Yeah, it
No,
didn't
no,
seem like it was too much for me either. Yeah.
you know why people actually got upset about that scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all know. I'm not gonna say we all know.
Yeah, that makes sense. It definitely does. That's what I was saying. Like, okay, we'll talk about that off camera. But yeah,
Yeah, but I think that we did. I'm pretty sure we kind of covered everything.
I
Kind of
was waiting
covered
for you to
all
say
the
your
stuff.
battery is at 19% every time.
Oh
You
no,
say
no, 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 no. It's funny too, because I told you in the what you call it. It actually got my battery switched out, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm going through YouTube where it's like it drains faster, because when I'm on StreamYard, I'm good. Like yesterday, I streamed for 2 hours. The day before that, I streamed for 2 hours. My battery was good. I could have literally probably went for like 2 hours and a half, maybe 3 hours.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know what it is. I'm gonna sit there and try to stream tomorrow on YouTube, like just going straight through YouTube and see. But I don't know. I don't know. I there's certain things I like about StreamYard, and then there's certain things I like about regular YouTube. Like even the comments and stuff like that is easier to read from YouTube than it is on StreamYard. Like the way it just bumps up fast, and there's no polls. You can't do any polls and stuff like that, which
But I
is
feel like
apparently.
there's got to be a way for StreamYard to like allow that to come through at some point, or are they saving that for their ultra premium package? Like,
Yeah, when you're paying
they're
like
trying to
paying like $60
mix
a month or
together.
whatever, paying like
Yeah.
$60 a month.
That's probably what they're trying to do. That they probably, maybe. Okay, yeah, well, yeah, I think that's probably what pre-artists are doing. They're trying to find a way to package that together. I think that's probably what it is, because there should be a way to do that though on StreamYard. I feel
Yeah,
like.
it's even when I go through, because after I finish streaming and stuff like that, I got to go after, instead of the whole being monetized and stuff like that. When I go through YouTube, I don't have to do that.
Right,
I just
right,
go
right.
straight through YouTube, get the monetizing on, and just start going.
So you have to authorize for a video to be monetized or not?
Yeah, well, you have to do it. You have to usually have to do it before or after. Um, but in YouTube, you can do it before though,
Right, right, right. Okay,
because
this is the after option though. So even if after, that's not bad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Or is that for monetizing or super chats or both?
monetizing. Super
Okay.
chats are still allowed. Like you can, whatever. But that's why sometimes, like I don't, like with James or whatever, he does it during it, which is I feel like it's so much more work, because he always. And that's the thing. He always has to sit there and put it like authorize it towards super chats and stuff. And I've never had to do that. That's why I'm just like, why is it so weird, and like I feel like there's just more work, you know.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
reset things up every single time you have to do it. I feel like that's just a headache.
Yeah. Because honestly, I would to say though, I do like doing like lives through StreamYard. I find actually StreamYard easier. Okay, obviously I'm not in a monetization stage, but just I find it easier with StreamYard. The comments quality is better on a StreamYard than it is on YouTube. Um, but yeah, I think the polls thing is probably the only con. I would
But
say
I,
from what I'm
I
seeing so far.
I feel like at this point you can actually stream without going through StreamYard.
Right? Yeah, you can. You can.
Like with your numbers and stuff like that, your subscribers and stuff like that, you're at a point where you can actually stream without going to StreamYard.
But how come with YouTube, like you can't do on your members only live two people in there? It only you can.
That
I
is
guess unless you go
so,
through Zoom. I guess unless you go through Zoom through YouTube system, then that's probably one way to do it. But that's a lot of work. I don't have being silly.
yeah.
That's a lot of work.
That's why I was like, yo, was like, yo, listen, I give
I've tried
Dave
it
like,
before. It's a lot of work.
I've seen that. I remember you sitting there telling me about that. I was like, bro, listen, I will just pick StreamYard because all that is just,
It
yeah,
was too much. It was like I tried it myself. I was alive. It took me forever, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is just too much." I was like, "There's got to be a simple way." And I heard people use Streamyard, and I get why a lot of people use Streamyard instead of Zoom. I get because it's just the organization, but it's just so much more simpler in that sense.
yeah. Have a good night, Laura B. Yeah, I mean, one thing I do like about StreamYard is that I can stream on here and I can stream on Twitter and I can stream on Facebook and stuff like that. And YouTube, I can do
Oh.
it all together. Um, that's what I've been doing this whole week. It's just because you was you knew about that though.
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah,
remember. I remember you said that. You did say that. You did say, "Okay, okay, trying to."
yeah,
You want to connect to so Twitter now? Okay, all right, all right.
yeah. I know. I want to sit there and be bold. I want to live dangerously. That's what I want to do. I
It's
want to sit
giving
there and
Drew
live
and Carly
dangerously.
going public on the stock IPO. That's what it's giving.
I wonder if they're actually never gonna get back to that story at some point.
You know what I think is going to happen is they're probably going to try to take down Victor. Maybe Victor might find out about the IPO thing, blackmail against them. But the problem is, like I said, they start a storyline and then don't figure out how to continue it or when to pick it back up. So it's very confusing. That's why I like the storylines GH. Today was a good day. I feel like I know today's a good episode. I saw the first 10 minutes of this good episode, but the rest of them is just it's lacking structure. That's the biggest thing. I just some kind of structure. They don't have that. So who
Well,
knows
you
when
know
they
the
pick
structure.
it back up.
We know the structure. The structure comes in the form of the fact that they have so many characters, they have so many stories. It's pretty much what you said before. They give you a lot, and sometimes, most of the times, they give you too much. You know, they give you way too much. You got so many things that's going on. You have Esme, you have Spencer, you have Trina, you have Jocelyn, you have Dex, you have Sunny, you have Nina with the
And then they have
whole.
new
With,
storylines that they haven't finished, and when they haven't finished older ones.
yeah, yeah. But and that's the thing. Then you have the whole Austin and um Jesus Christ, this one is getting to me. Austin and Ava and I'm gonna call him by his real name, Mason. You have that whole thing going on. And yeah, you have Nicholas. They just give you so much. And I remember you was either you or somebody said in the comment section that I feel like they should adopt the Days of Our Lives policy as far as getting characters in and rotating them. Rotating them. This way you get the maximum amount of a story out of these characters. You finish it up, and then you rotate them out, and you put in some new characters, as
But
opposed
I
to
get
them
this
just
feeling. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
no, 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 no. What was you gonna say?
I get this feeling that like because I understand it's like public knowledge. Somebody said it on so Twitter like months ago how like everyone's like on a recurring contract or something on GH. We're on a recurring something. That's why it's like this. So I do feel like in some ways until that internal issue is fixed, this will never end. I feel like
Yeah,
we're never gonna get out of this until the internal issue is fixed. I feel like this is, and it might not even be the writers solely. Like this is, so I guess now I'm gonna have some grace. It might not be the writers. It's just whatever that internal issue is, it's causing that. Once that gets fixed, we'll get better storylines because people can stick around. Because then they were talking about is Molly and TJ pregnant? I'm like, but we still haven't figured out what Miss Wu's game plan is, and she's been on for like almost 2 years now. So why we like start a new storyline? Just unpack this, and then Gregory and Alexis. I don't care about Gregory and Alexis. I can tell you that right now. I'm not interested. Let's finish what we already have on our plate. You know, like when your
see,
parents are younger, finish the food that's on your plate before you get more.
yes.
Let's finish what's on our plate. Let's finish that.
And Dave, that is DC Soul Sanctuary. If you don't know DC, he also does reviews. He's pretty much like Mayor Collins. He kind of comes in and out or whatever. But he has his YouTube channel. He does reviews and live streams and stuff like that. So that's who DC Soap Sanctuary is. David.
Definitely, guys. Definitely check it out when you guys can. Definitely can. Oh, that's what he meant by "Who's your friend." I was wondering what that kind of meant when he said that.
Yeah, I meant to get to it, but then we started like going back and forth or whatever, and I was like, at some point, I was like, man, I should probably get back to him. And then I just started just going off on a tangent about something else. Um, but yeah, that's who. Well, I figure at this point, mostly everyone knows who DC is because I mean, it's
But
DC
then you're
Soap
getting new
Central.
subscribers every year. You're expanding the enterprise every day, so your
Yeah,
division is
and
growing every
we even
day.
got we actually had JLJ Media in the chat, so that was cool.
The Anthony Zakara soaps was the chat. This president today. But honestly, I think like I said when once GH gets through that internal issue, I think we'll see the balance again. Because even a year or two ago, it wasn't like this. Or like 2 or 3 years ago, it wasn't like this. And we have the same, I feel the same writers, pretty much kind of the same staff, crew. It wasn't like this. So there's something people on sub Twitter said it's that recurring thing where no one's on contract, whatever. That's what people on sub Twitter are saying. So um, once they fix that, we'll see. So yes, Jessica, yes, everyone at GH is practically pulling like Mayor Collins these day and age. It's just Mayor Collins is more of a Mayor Collins than everybody else.
No,
Right?
no, 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 no. She's laughing. No, she's laughing because I called you Mayor Collins.
No, no, no. I know. I was connected to the joke. Yeah, I know. I
Oh,
am
okay,
Mayor
all
Collins. I know. But
right.
once they fix that general issue, I think it'll get a lot better. I mean, because there's so much potential there. I mean, even when we were saying Felix and Brad today, I know that's not going to go nowhere, but there's like so much potential in the stories they could tell. I don't care about Alexis and Gregory. We can just nip that in the butt right now. Like that, like now we have to figure out what is Gregory's mysterious illness. And I'm like, can we finish what the other storylines were? Like, can we finish that other stuff first? Then we can get to that.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, you're. I mean, it's pretty much what JLJ said as far as it has to start with the writing first. It has to start with the writing first, the ground up work, and everything else to sit there and kind of just fall into place. Speaking of JLJ, I mean, it was good. Coach Sandra, I always
Coach
notice her whenever.
Chandra,
Yes, whenever she comes on JLJ Media's channel. So, um,
she's also part of
but yeah.
10th Floor Industries.
Oh, she's on there also as well.
Yeah, she's on 10th floor. She's a part of 10th floor industries. I'm not gonna joke call it. But she's always on the 10th floor GH's chat. She's like one of their moderators. So shout out to Coach Chandra.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. I gotta say, I've been so busy. Even though I've been off, I've
You
been
gotta have
so
some
busy.
moderators. Come on, I gotta have some moderators.
But I've been so busy. Like I gotta sit there and check out 10th floor because I always sit there and watch Dion's Corner. So shout out to Dion's Corner. Um, that's my guy
There's just
right
so
there.
many people now. It's hard to keep up. It's a lot of people now. It's hard to keep up.
And of course, you got some new people as well. You got glad y'all still here. Yeah, I know. Nikisha, I got a new battery, so I don't know if it's that or
He's
if
not Will
it's I'm
Horton.
on
He's not gonna be
StreamYard.
Will Horton tonight. He's actually gonna stay on for a while.
But it's crazy because there's so many people I got, and it's also new people like Kyrie's Clarks. You got Cat Lady. She's also doing reviews and stuff like that. You got
I know.
Jakaris.
I know.
Jakaris
Yep.
is always busy. So whenever Jakaris stop by, always got to sit there and give him a shout out because he's always busy.
Have you seen the lady who does the YNRGH spoilers? She calls her channel YNRGH spoilers, but she really just does reviews. And she's like older.
Is it wine or chat? No, it's not wine or it's not
No,
Abby's
no,
wine or chat.
no. It's called YNR spoilers today or GH spoilers today.
Oh yes, 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 yes. I know with the thing. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking
Yes,
about. Yeah,
yes. It's like it's so crazy to see the emergence of so many new channels that are out. This is like amazing. Like, but it's so much. It's so many new people coming to keep up with. So at the beginning, I was trying to watch everybody, but I can't. It's like so much. That's so much. I can't watch everybody. Oh my god! But her channel is one that I watch. Her channel is the other one I watch. Kyrie's and then some other people too. So
and then there's also Life of Jessica. I don't know if you know her, but she also does.
no.
Seriously? Yeah,
What kind
she
of
she
reviews
does
is like what soaps?
she does B&B and she does GH.
Okay. Because I would like to see some more people who don't do. Most people do GH. Almost everybody in Mama does GH. That's like a given.
But here's the thing now, she does more B&B than GH stuff. She's more of a B&B person than GH. So yeah, and that's the thing because GH is. I don't know if it's because GH is just really popular. Like you got Andre Epps, and he just does Days of Our Lives. So
Yeah,
He's
there's
more
some channels that just specifically do like, because honestly, like I said, whenever someone whenever I do a GH review, that would always my numbers with that would always shoot up when I do a GH review. But everything else, because GH is really just the most popular. I notice it's the most popular of all the soaps that people are watching for the reviews and everything. Like he just said the
yeah.
daily recap lady. Wow. I mean, I would love to see more people do YNR.
Well,
Um,
again, you got YNR chat with Abby. She does YNR chat. She does
you
YNR.
gotta send me these people. You gotta send me these people. You gotta send them to me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure actually. I'll text it to you again. But of course,
You
you
sent
got
me one
Danny
person who
Bear.
did YNR for 10 years, but I think that was a different name.
No, that's it. It's called YNR
Dan Bear
chat.
does all four. Dan Bear does all four, I think,
No,
right?
she does all three. Lanikia does all four.
Ah.
Yeah, see, I always sit there and I always sit there and keep up with people, so I know I know what people are doing.
Brock kind of does all four, but Brock does really GH, and he'll do the rest when he wants to. If he's in the mood, so it came up was good, then he's gonna review it.
Well, so like I gotta sit there and give Brock a lot of credit because Brock will sit there and do a review at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Because I remember when I sit there and wake up when I used to go to work, I'll see like Brock could do a GH review like 15 minutes later. I'm just like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What the hell are you doing? But he's about to sit there and go to work, so I'm just like, yo, it's crazy. I give him a lot of credit because like at that
You know
point,
what
I'm
the
like,
thing
yo,
is?
I'm not doing that.
He treats this like it was just like day one for him when he does reviews. Like he really treats it exactly how it's day one. Like I just do a review and I off. Like he treats it exactly like it was day one. He just followed that formula for years. That's crazy.
Do you ever, okay, let me ask you a question. Do you ever get to a point like when you haven't done it in a while, whatever, when you start to do it, like, do you ever feel like, all right, I gotta sit there and make this good? Like, is there like a bit of a nervous feeling a little bit? Or is it just like, it's just another day?
What do you mean by that in terms of like the nervous
So,
feeling? If you
like,
could
when you're
explain.
sitting there getting ready to do a review, like for me, sometimes I'll sit there and look at the episode, and if the episode is bad, it's like, Jesus Christ, how am I actually going to sit there and do this review? But if it's really good, I have an easier time doing a review when the episode's really good. So, how do you feel like when you're sitting there doing reviews and stuff like that? Do you still have that? Is this going to be a good review or is this going to be like really bad? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I think in some ways I'm always gonna wonder if it's gonna be a good review or not. I think that's like always just like the given standard. But I think for the most part, if it's never ever so much about if the show was good or bad that week. It was if there was I feel something to talk about, and if there wasn't, then there definitely won't be nothing coming from me. That's why sometimes I might just do days and I don't do GH because like there's other for me to talk about GH. I didn't see what I could talk about, even though you
Yeah,
might have saw it, Brock would have saw it, or whoever saw it. I was like I couldn't find anything, especially if I'm going off in the week, right? So I'm looking for that summary, right? That Spark Notes version of everyone, and if I can't find it, I just don't do it because I know if I just try to force it, it's definitely not gonna come out right. It's definitely I'm definitely like I don't know, is that good? Should I have done that? Because I feel like, and I'll just say this in a way, right? We won't put out exact examples of our work what that was, but I'm pretty sure we know when right before we do a review if it's gonna hit or not. Not even so much with numbers, but just if we knew we gave it that 1,000, like we just
yes,
know, you know what I'm saying?
yes.
And it sometimes can translate on camera too. Right? It can translate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And it's weird though, because like I guess for me sometimes when I'm doing like GH reviews and I'm doing like B&B reviews, sometimes like the B&B reviews would like my energy would just hit more. Maybe because being Billy is just more of a silly show where it's like, how do you people take this seriously? Or how did this show last for 35 something years? And I just come at it from a comedic standpoint because I'm just like, you know what? Listen, this review can't be bad because this episode was just kind of terrible in a way. So whatever I'm sitting there talking about, it has to be better than the review. You know, like it's just one of those things where it's like sometimes I would have more fun talking about the episode than I did watching it. If that
Right.
makes sense.
No, it does make sense because I mean the biggest thing is like we've always talked about is how when we do these reviews, they're not so much coming for the exact recap play by play. They're coming like, okay, what did you think of it? Like sometimes I'm watching something else, like, okay, I gotta see what Alpha thought about this because it's crazy. Like so I'm looking like I watched their episode, and so they're always coming to see what our thoughts are. Um, on that. So I could understand, like, trying to figure out, okay, like, how are we going to express our views on this? Is this going to be good? Or, the episode was not good, or there wasn't much that we could really draw or pull from. That's why I started doing like shorter review video bit pieces. I'm trying to at least do that from time to time because I know it's been hard for me to do weekend reviews, stuff like that. So, and that way, as something happens, I can maybe just give at least opinion on that tidbit, even if I can't give a
Yeah.
tidbit on a whole review on everything else or whole episode or something like that. Give something that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised you didn't actually, do a video on the whole Jax thing about the lawsuit. I'm surprised you didn't actually do that.
I guess it's because I feel like I don't know enough about it just yet to go make a video about it. Even though I've watched your videos and James' video, I feel like I have to know, like, just do something, like, do have at least a 5 minute Google search time frame to, brush up on it. And I
And it's
haven't had
and
that
it's
time yet.
I guess it does make sense. I guess it does make a lot of sense because you are busy. It's not like you're just doing YouTube or whatever full
Right.
time. You're in grad school and stuff like that. You got that going on. So it's like the balance between those is, I gotta sit there and say, it's pretty incredible because it's like you can come in and sit there do a live with me, but it's like, you have to. I feel like your audience understands that you're not doing this full time. So it's like you can do it when you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's better not to force it because then it's just going to come out like, well.
Yeah, yeah. Because the thing about it is, like, I try not to be intermittent with the content I put out, but the problem is that, like, there's only a certain amount of time I can do things, and I always want to make sure, even when I do put out, it's because I love to do it, not because, oh, I'm on a schedule where I gotta get this review in, and like, because
Yeah.
it's not going to translate right. And I know for certain videos I've done in the past, it didn't hit, it didn't hit. Like, I just know. I won't say which those videos were, they just didn't hit the same, and you can tell. I think my audience can tell when I do a video when my heart and soul was put into it and the full me was put into it. And it's not so much from visual effects or stuff like that. It's just you can just naturally tell from the energy and the flow and how it's unveiling, unfolding before you,
Yeah. That's important. But you also, your schedule as far as doing reviews is a lot different than, let's say, like me or Brock and Lanikia. Like you do it like maybe
Yeah.
on the weekends or whatever when you can. Ours is pretty much kind of 5 days a week. So in a lot of ways, yours is harder, but it's also a little more relaxing because it's kind of like homework. You don't have your final project due until like the end of the week, as opposed to me and Brock. It's like, all right, so we're gonna turn that down homework tomorrow. That's pretty much how it comes across. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, my channel's like passions. You never know what you're gonna get. Like, you never know what I'm gonna put out. You just really don't know it's gonna go. You don't know if something's gonna even come out this week at all. So you just don't
but
know.
also, I got to give you credit because, like, for me personally, whenever I do my review, I won't sit there and watch Brock TV's video unless I'm done with my review because I don't like anything to influence what I'm going to sit there and think of my thought
Exactly,
process when I do
exactly.
my review. You know?
I used to do the same thing too. I would wait till after I've done mines, like let's say with the weekend one, and then watch your guys' because, but sometimes it's not all the way bad because I was like, oh, I could see that too, and I could talk about that because sometimes after the reviews, like, damn, I should have talked about this. But for the most part, yeah, I just didn't have to color anything.
Yeah, no, that's kind of cool because also you're doing it during the week or whatever. So in some ways, because also sometimes I'll sit there, like I used to sit there and watch my review. Like sometimes I sit there and watch my reviews. Well, I will watch his reviews after mine, and he'll talk about something specific, and I'm like, shit, I didn't talk about that. I didn't mention that. So
But do
sometimes I
you
won't
have
sit
time to
there.
watch anybody anymore? I don't think you have time to watch anybody else
I
anymore, do
don't.
you?
I really don't.
Yeah, I don't think you do. Yeah, I don't think you do.
I
I don't
really
think you
don't.
do. I don't either. Honestly, it's virtually impossible. Like, okay, even James, if you notice how James, he doesn't do full fledged weekend reviews now. Now he's giving you little tidbits, and so that kind of made me think like, hey, James has always been giving tidbits for the longest time. Let me do the same because people just coming for the opinion. They're not coming necessarily for me to recap every little detail, what shoe Brooklyn Quartermain put on that day, or a blazer she did put on. They're looking for just the thoughts, so I can just give the thoughts, even if it's in 2, 3, 5 minute bite sized videos.
Yeah.
As something to
Yeah.
kind of work for that. So, But I don't think you have time to watch it, buddy. I don't. I think you would. 'Cause,
No,
like,
I don't. I mean, I think I would. Here's the thing: if I was just doing YouTube full time, I would have time. But because I work a day job and then like I do my reviews and then I do the live stream, it's like I barely have time to sit there and watch stuff. I have to watch it on the
yeah,
weekend because I'm just watching soap operas.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
literally it.
like I don't even watch other people's stuff unless there's a specific episode that I want to see people's views on. Like for Epiphanies, I probably will go and watch everyone's stuff, but most I don't have the time to, and especially if I'm doing my own videos at times, it can be kind of a lot. Because the thing about it is, even on YouTube, I'm only subscribed to 15 channels on my personal account, and my Soap Sanctuary account, I'm only subscribed I think to 9 or 10. Which I know most people probably have way more YouTube. Like they might see, oh, this person has a great video, subscribe. And there's nothing wrong with that too. That's what we're supposed to do. But I know it kind of be too much on the feed. So I try to keep it balanced enough, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I kind of made that mistake of just practically subscribing to everyone and their mother. But there's certain people that I would sit there and think about when I sit there and do, watch people. Like I'll watch you, I'll watch Dion, I'll watch a couple other people that's like non-soap related. But when it comes to soaps, there's only a few amount of people that I may actually have
Right.
time to watch. But even then,
Right.
like Dion or whatever, what's a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
So like maybe I'll sit there and watch his or whatever because he'll come on
Yeah.
like around like 11 or whatever. So I'll sit there and come on watch his for a little bit. But I'm already in the bed, so it's like I'm not gonna really watch anything else. So it's like, all right, Dion's on. I'm gonna sit there and watch him for a little bit. But normally, I think that's the thing though. When you're creating and you're really busy, it's hard to sit there and find time to sit there and watch other people's stuff, or let alone watch other certain shows. Unless you watch, for me, watching on the weekends. Like
Right.
I'm
Right. Right.
like right now, like a lot of other people have been watching Miss Marvel since like last year. I'm just starting to watch it. I'm just starting to watch The Boys. I'm just starting to sit there and watch Cobra Kai. That stuff came on last year. I'm just now watching it now. So it's just, it is what it is. There's certain things I feel
Me
like
too.
I sacrifice a little bit because I love doing YouTube and I love making content and I want to make it,
Right.
you know. So
No, I get that because I think that like we have so much going on. It's hard to keep up with so much different content. I mean, I was even thinking the other day, like I want to go back to watching my soaps on the weekends. I like when I was watching As World Turns all day on Saturday, just episode after episode marathon format. And it was 80s. I was just so into it. I was like,
it
I
was
miss
great,
watching
right?
on weekends because you can really get into it. This is the thing. I never really liked watching soaps live or day by day. I never did that when I was younger. When I was younger, I had a VHS, I had a VCR in my room, VCR in my mom's room, VCR in my brother's room. So my room was recording CBS, my mom's room was recording ABC, her brother was recording NBC. I know I had no life as a kid, right? But that's how I watched my soaps. And the thing about it is, I would watch, I think, one of them all on Friday night, one Saturday night, like a couple of months, but I watch majority of them on the weekends. And I like that because it allowed me time to really digest the meat and the material and get into it. But the problem is now because I'm subscribed to some channels, I see the spoilers come in or people talk about like even today, I didn't even know Tiffany still was gonna be off. I saw Dion Corner's post where he was talking about, oh my god, this episode broke me, and that's what Keisha's post like, oh my god, I cried too. And I was like, damn, now I gotta watch. Because I already know what's gonna happen. I'm like, damn it, now I gotta watch. You know what I'm saying? But I used to watch on the weekends because, like I said, I really get into the meat of it because I love reviewing, but I love that little old school feel how it was. But then
Being a
the problem
fan.
is reviews, yeah. But if I'm doing reviews, I can't. So it's a hard juggle. It's a hard juggle.
It's yes, and it's funny because I remember again going back to James or whatever, watching it as a fan as opposed to watching it as a critic. Because let's be honest, that's what we are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a different feel. You're not sitting there taking notes. You're not sitting there being like, oh, this person's doing this person's doing that. You're just watching it. You're in the moment, and
Yeah.
it's funny too because when you was talking about binge watching it when I used to have SoapNet, I used to sit there. I think it was Sundays. I used to sit there and just watch all of One Life Left. I would just watch it. I would just love it. But you're doing it from a fan's
Yeah.
perspective. When you're doing it as somebody who watches soaps and you're talking about it, you kind of have to be in the now. You have to kind of be in the know to sit there and know what people are talking about and kind of be in the conversation. So it's a different
It's like
feel.
you're enjoying it, but it's also work too. Do you feel like when you just well, you probably haven't had that day in a while where you just sat back and just watch soaps, but do you feel like back in those days when you used to sit back and just watch soaps, you were less critical of it?
I was so less critical of it. Jesus Christ. Honestly, tell you the truth,
I used
I
to love
feel
Frank
like
Valentine at one point, remember?
I feel like if I was the reviewer now that I was back then, oh my God. And if I had YouTube, so many people wouldn't like me. But I wasn't as hypercritical back then like I am now. So it's a different, and again, it comes down to watching as a fan as opposed to watching it, as a review, as soap opera commentary.
It's so different. I know it's weird. I just commented in the chat, right? But it's so different that it's so different because like when you sit back and watch it as a like I am less critical. That's why I think I had such a love for the soaps. I had no critiques back in the day. But when I started doing this, every critique now, every little thing is like in my mind because now I have to look for it because that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm looking for things to analyze and dissect apart like we all do. So, but I do like those days because I'm watching As World Turns last weekend. I I wasn't gonna do a video on it, which I might. Who knows? I might do a whole review on the whole soap itself. But I was just watching it as a fan. I was like, "Oh, this is so good! Oh my god! Oh, this is so good!" It's like I wasn't before I started reviewing.
Yeah, you wasn't sit there. Your instinct wasn't to sit there and start looking for things that you liked and looking for things that you didn't like. You wasn't sitting there trying to break down things. You were just in the moment, watching it as it happened. It's it's different. It's definitely
Yeah,
different. But
yeah,
also, we look at this like, okay, look at Sheila for a minute, right? We know that she's on contract, right? But back in the '90s and stuff like that, when the internet wasn't really
we
prevalent,
didn't know.
and oh, Sheila's gonna go to jail. Back then, I would have been like, oh crap, Sheila may actually go to jail. I don't wonder what's gonna happen next. Me now, 2020, 23, I'm just like, yeah, no, Sheila's not gonna go to jail, but there's really not a lot of mystery there because we know. We know. Even if you don't, here's the thing. Even if you don't sit there and look for it, the minute you go on YouTube, somebody's going to talk about it. Somebody's going to
And
talk
see,
about
that's
it. You're
the
going to go on
thing.
somebody's live stream and they're going to talk about
And this is the thing too. Oh, Darby, real quick to answer your question, Darby. I'm watching Santa Barbara right now in episode 3. But to answer what you were saying though, the thing about it is that I didn't even know that Ben was coming back till I saw your thumbnail. I didn't know that Rage and Bill working together till I saw your thumbnail. I did not know. I did not know. And that's why like I have a separate channel for my regular YouTube channel. That's why I have it separate. Because I logged in, I saw that and I was like, damn, Albert, why is Albert put up this thumbnail? I was like, damn. Now I already know what's gonna happen. But like most times, I don't know stuff until I go on YouTube or someone or the General Hospital spoiler pages pop up, with their
it.
automated
Yeah.
AI voice system.
hmm From
But
like some,
it,
yeah, I'm going to stop myself right there.
so that's why, like, once, like, for example, when that they did the flashbacks of younger Eric and Nicole on Peacock a week or two ago with the old actor who played Eric, that surprised me because I didn't know that was coming. I didn't watch no review. I didn't see nothing. So it was like a nice, like, genuine surprise. Like, oh my god! So like seeing Felix the other day, I was like, what Felix? What? I saw this one. I was like, what Felix is here? There's nothing that, and I love that. It brings me back those moments. It brings me back. That can happen all the time, but when it does, I appreciate those moments. I appreciate that. I appreciate
Here's the thing. It must be so much more difficult. Like, it must be so much more difficult for you because you don't like spoilers. And
Yeah, I
you,
don't.
the thing is, you have the internet, you have a phone. So it's like, even for me personally, even when I go on Google, sometimes Google will sit there. If I'm looking for directions or whatever, Google will pop up and be like, "This person is leaving," or "This person just got on contract," or whatever. I go on Instagram, and they're already sitting there talking about somebody that's going to be on contract. So it's one of those things where it's like, I guess like the
Yeah,
algorithm just kind of works against me, but I'm fine with it. But somebody for like you would hate that. You would
yeah.
hate that
The thing
so
is that
much.
because when you see it, because now you're looking for it to happen on screen, like when when what is it? Not Lee, Finn and Stephanie were shot on B&B. That caught me off guard. And when Finn died, I thought he really died. And the writers are smart for keeping that all the way under wraps. But the thing is, when they're on and off contract, now you're looking for it when you're watching the show. So I was watching As Well Turns last weekend. I don't know anything that happened from the 80s to the 90s. Like I know a little bit of it, but that show was like the stepchild of soaps. No one was really keeping up for them. They were 21. They were number one for 20 years, but no one was keeping up for them for the later years. So when I'm watching it, everything's new to me. I'm like, oh my god, no! James just fell out of the plane. No! I'm like, no! I'm in the emotions because I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if he was not on contract that year, 1982, if he left contract. I don't know those things. So I got to
So
be
it's just
genuinely surprised.
so it's just it's definitely a different perspective when you're sitting there watching it because you're not just watching it as a fan. You generally don't know what's going to happen from one point to the next. So
Exactly.
it's something that's just so crazy for for what we do now. You
And
know.
soaps are built on the element of surprise. Okay, just like Nikisha said, she'd rather not know if Tyler Christopher is coming back. She'll be surprised. Now, see, when they had Nicholas and Austin was there with him in the clinic, I was surprised. I said coming, and I also that's something I tried doing. I watch my soaps. I tried to go on my soap YouTube account because I don't want to see your thumbnails because your thumbnails always like I'm like, I don't want to see your thumbnails afterwards. But sometimes what your thumbnails will give you an idea of the storyline for the next week. I'm like, I don't want to see my thumbnails because the thing is like I don't know. When I saw Nicholas was in that clinic, I was like, oh my god, I didn't see that coming. That was so new because I didn't know if he was on a contract or not on contract. Like, and it's hard not to ignore it because we're in the age of social media and learning more actors' personal lives. But then it's like I want to like turn a blind eye to all that. Like, I just want to be that viewer that doesn't know who's on contract, who's not renewing their contract, who's trying to bargain for money in their contract.
Man, I'm
I don't
not
want
gonna
to
lie.
know those things.
I'm not gonna lie. On that level, it must be really tough for you because for me personally, it's just like I'm used to it. Like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Like even this week when somebody was like, "Oh well, Sheila's gonna sit there and fall off the balcony." Now I didn't even watch the preview, so I didn't even know. And part of me is like, "Well," and then it's meant to ask. Somebody's meant to ask me questions like, "Well, what do you sit there and think about Sheila falling off the balcony?" I was like, "Well, I don't know because you kind of just spoiled it for me." But okay, sure, whatever. Um, but here's the thing: I have to sit and accept that because I'm doing it 5 days a week, is
Yeah,
going to
it's
wind up
naturally gonna
happening.
happen. It's
It's
gonna
going to
happen.
yeah. So I just kind of accepted it. And also, I opened up my phone and I'm on social media all the time. So suppose it's gonna wind up happening. But for you, oh my God,
And I don't even have social media. Mind you, I don't have social media either. So there's more
yeah,
like a I've been living under a rock more. So I could like really get into like, oh my god, that's happening. Because like I said, when I was watching As Well Turns, other soaps obviously that I know of, I know who and what happened, who died, who didn't die. But like I said, when I'm seeing James Stenbeck falling out of the airplane, I don't know if Anthony Herrera decided not to renew his contract or he was in contract negotiations at that time. I don't know. So I generally don't know if he's gonna come back or not. I know eventually down the line he was on the show in the later years, but for that time period, I don't know what's going on. So I was like, oh my god, I don't know if he was renegotiating, But like I said, when the spoilers are not there, I can just because I think that's what allowed me to get into All My Children. There was at that time there was no social media. It was '06, so everything is new to me. I get into the storylines but you're right. You were on 5 days a week as Brock, so it's like it just comes part of the territory. I guess for guys. You got and then the comments. That's why I never
yeah.
read my comments usually to the weekends.
But then also, and for me, because Brock doesn't really do, he doesn't really do live streams, but I do live streams
Yeah.
5 days a week. So somebody's going to come in there and be like, well, this person did this. It's not
Or
this
did you hear
person
so and so is
doing
coming back?
it. Exactly. So it's just one of those things where it's like, I accept it. It is what it
Right,
is.
right.
Um, and honestly, tell you the truth, I look at it this way: if this person didn't say anything, I'm going to turn on my phone. I'm going to go on Instagram, and if I'm not looking at one of my usual thirst traps, I'm going to come across some news that's talking about this person's leaving, that person's leaving. It is what it is.
So I
You
have a
know,
question for you then. Do you feel like because of the way spoilers are now, do you think that they impact storylines in the way of such as like ratings? What I mean by that is, for example, if someone knows a certain character is or isn't coming back, that could impact if they're going to watch that show for that particular storyline arc and just in future
absolute,
weeks.
absolutely, 100%, 100% without a doubt, 100%. If you knew that this character isn't coming back because this actor, I don't know, got fired or whatever, is going to definitely impact the ratings without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's just I think that's just guaranteed because you're always gonna have people that's gonna sit there and either look for that actor, look for that character, and look for those storylines, and knowing that they're not gonna be there, they're gonna dip. They're gonna dip.
Yeah,
It's
because I feel
unfortunate. It's the age that we live in.
like for example, someone posted on their YouTube channel about how they're like it was all in their video title, and I hate when people do that. Like
Oh
just put
Jesus.
day spoilers, and let people click in out there if they want the mess. But
Yeah.
this person put all in their spoilers, pretty much everything that's gonna happen with Sloane, her backstory, and I was like, why was that in the title? You know what I mean? Like why? Like give me at least a choice. Give me the choice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you what actually pissed me off. And
Yeah.
granted, this isn't even so much about soap operas, but just in spoilers in general. So, the Avengers. I think it wasn't Endgame, but it was the other one though. The first one, Infinity Stone or Infinity War. It was Infinity Store. Anyway, so that movie happened, and it took me a week to go and see it. So they put in the title why the Hulk can't transform. I didn't even watch the movie yet, so now I'm knowing that the Hulk is not going to transform. So that just spoiled
Yeah.
literally that because they put it literally in the title. They put it in the title, so it's like even if I didn't want to click onto the video, I can't unread that, you know. So I totally get that. It's just one of those things where it's like it sucks, but they want to do it for ratings, and they practically said, "The hell with
Yeah,
anyone
exactly.
else." You know,
Yeah.
it's
And
like
people are gonna
Phoenix
click on
Tremaine,
it too.
exactly like Phoenix Tremaine will sit there and put out spoilers, but he won't sit there and put it out in the title. He won't sit there and say what it is, or whatever. It's
I
just gonna have
appreciate that.
spoilers for whatever. So it's like, all right, cool. I chose not to click on it because I didn't want to be spoiled. But when somebody does something like that, it's like, ugh, I hate those
But my
people.
thing is like people like my thing is if someone is always reading spoilers, how invested can you really be in the show? How invested can you really be in the characters? How can you really invested can you be in in the development when there's not that ignorance, a little bit of bliss that's there, right? How invested can you really be? I feel like if you always know what's gonna happen next.
Well, that's so, and all, well, talking about like invested and fans and stuff like that, it's sort of the same thing when people just watch shows for like one character or one couple, whatever. It's like, well, how
Which I never
invested are
understood that. I never understood that to be
they? I
honest.
don't get that either. It's like, oh, well, if Jason leaves, I'm not going to sit there and watch anymore. It's like, well, how was you watching the show when Jason wasn't on those episodes? Like I don't, I don't get that. I'm not even sitting there saying like they're not a real fan. It's just like, well, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time sitting there watching an episode if these people aren't going to be on here? I don't get that.
Right, because like to me, I feel like even though I just said earlier, not every show is ensemble cast, which some soaps are not really like all the way ensemble, but in a way they're all ensemble in their own way. But um, just watching it for the whole cast itself and how they're playing out with one another. But like I said, so not having the spoilers allows me to get fully invested and to dive in. I know it's gonna like even with the text message killer storyline, we didn't know who it was. I can imagine that storyline played out now. I couldn't imagine like how that could have played out now. And there was a little bit of social media back then, but not too much back then.
But I feel so much worse for you though because it's like I feel like you're at a point where it's like I mean like for me I just kind of accepted it, but also it's a little bit different though because I am on social media more, and even I do it 5 days a week, but like I just feel like there's so much more spoilers now because there's so much more technology. We're just in the age of the internet. Well, back then you didn't have to worry about that. But we're not back in the '90s or whatever. So it's like I can't imagine being you, and kind of like dodging spoilers like at every point in turn. It's just like I feel like that
I think it's
would
like
be
I'm on
so
the
much
run from the
more.
law or something.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
I think I think there was one time I was at the gym working out, and my God, this was like months ago, and I guess at this time I kind of already knew what was coming, but I'm like, you see, like you can't escape it. And I was, you're in the gym. Sometimes you're in the gym or some places there's like TVs everywhere, like they have TVs on the wall or in the high
Yeah.
ceilings. and one of them said, "Soap star Peter Reckel returns to Days on Peacock series Beyonce." And it's not like I can tell him at the gym, "Hey, can you shut those TVs off?" It's like you can tell them, you know what I mean? But it's like, my gosh, it's like, like, because the thing is, that did happen back in the day, but very rare, very rare. It would usually be after the character was already premiered on
Yeah,
TV, and then that
yeah,
would hit the airwaves. Then it would hit the airwaves. But because they're built on the element of surprise. So if the element of surprise is not there. Like seeing Felix there on GH, I was like, well, Felix. I was like, well, they got Felix. Okay, what's up? I was like, what are they gonna do? But there was nothing that could have nothing prior spoiled that for me. I didn't even know today's was gonna be the episode of Epiphany. Honestly, I thought we were gonna do like a Friday or Monday. So to see that today, I was like, well, okay. So I found out about that through Dion's Corner because he had the post. That's on Dion's Corner first. I was like, all right, well, I gotta watch it now. So, oh gosh, I had to watch that. But any way I can minimize that is the best for me. But I'm not like tucking and dodging that every quarter. I
okay,
mean, that's what it was gonna be.
okay, all right. I just, because I know, obviously spoilers is a big deal for both of us, but I guess for me, I just kind of accepted it because of my schedule and what I do, and because you're not on here as often, you don't have to worry about, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not doing
Yeah,
reviews 5 days
I
a
get a
week.
whole lot less than you do. Yeah, a whole lot less
Yeah,
spoilers than you do. Yeah,
and you don't do social media, so it's like your chances of getting spoiled is a lot lower than mine.
because like
So
what
I
I
can,
do is I have yours. I do have subscribed to all soap channels on my regular YouTube account, but they're muted, so I don't see notifications on them. I only see notifications on them if I log into the Soap Sanctuary account. And so that's why I don't get spoiled. That's why I only log into Soap Sanctuary unless absolutely necessary. Like today, I uploaded a video and I kind of like closed my eyes. I was uploading it, go like this because I didn't want to see it. I still pop up, but the damn was already done.
wait, you uploaded a video today?
Yeah, I uploaded. I did like a little skit thing. I uploaded. It was like a parody of General Hospital. But as I was uploading it, I was like trying to not see anything, but the
Yeah,
damn
no,
was
no,
just done.
I got that part. I got that part. You was pretty much just doing a whole Helen Keller thing. No, I got
Yeah,
it. I got it. I got you. I
yeah,
got you.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
the sad. And the sad part is that you have to do that because it just takes one thing before they start. 'Cause you haven't noticed sometimes when you go on YouTube, if you are on a video for too long, it will
If you
start playing.
hover on it, it starts playing. It starts playing.
Yeah.
Yep, it's playing.
So it's like a damn landmine at that point.
It starts playing. Yeah.
Uh,
So I
Yeah.
mean, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, I wasn't really saying anything.
That's why it's like if anything is like I got all the spoiler pages don't show up no more. So like I got those out of the way.
Yeah.
General Hospital Star. Kata, 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 like General Hospital Star. And the information is always like halfway wrong or halfway right. So
Yeah, no, I got that part. I was sitting there just kind of shaking my head about the bad Indian accent that you just did. But if we're gonna
but that's
cancel
usually how they
somebody between,
sound.
hey, listen, if we're gonna sit there and cancel somebody between me and DC, uh, yeah, that guy right there, just
Or
yeah,
sometimes it'll go like it'll have the AI voice, General Hospital Star, Maurice Barinardi. And so that like it's just so robotic.
but the thing is, it's one of those things where it's like they seem like they make their views, they make their little bit of money, and then their channel gets canceled, and then you just kind of go on to the next channel or
It's one of those
whatever.
cash cow
Yeah.
channels that they have, which is becoming very popular now on YouTube. But the thing is, for me, I can't take a channel seriously if the person's not showing their face. I don't know why. I can't take it seriously.
But there's some
Depending,
people
for the
that,
most part, depending, but for the
yeah,
most part,
okay,
I
yeah,
can.
yeah.
For the most
I,
part, I can.
I love how you're not gonna sit there and comment how I just practically sold you down the river, but okay, that's
Wait,
cool.
what did you
That's
do? What did you say? What did you say?
nothing. You didn't catch it, so it really didn't matter.
What did you say? Don't tell me what you say.
I didn't say a damn thing. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, audience, tell me what he said. You guys are listening. What did he say? Tell me. I did not catch it. What did he say? Okay, tell me what he said. What did you say?
Oh, I would just bring. You know what? If you didn't catch it, then it's not gonna really matter. I didn't actually say
Oh
anything.
god.
It's the wine that's talking. I didn't actually say anything.
But Like I said, so I mean, honestly, like I said, I don't like I said, I'm not always ducking and dodging the spoilers, but for the most part, I try to surf them. But lately, I do want to get back into being that old fashioned soap, and I found some like old fashioned soap opera weekly magazines back when I was 12. I found them like lying around, like, oh my god, I remember this.
I actually found one of them in my closet. It's one where Jason and Robin and Sam, and it's the ABC one. It's next time I actually
Oh, the
come back
soaps
home,
and dab.
yeah, yeah. That one, I think it was like a
Oh,
couple of years ago, and it's still somewhat freshly like minted, like in good condition.
that
Oddly,
was that was like our that was folks' social media back then. Was like the soap opera magazines. That was it. And I canceled those after a while because I wanted to be that soap fan. I get stuck in the moment.
but I mean, it's funny though, because like people will come to him now, and they'll sit there and read them and stuff like that. But it's like, a lot of times when people will come to me in my job or whatever with those, I was like, just subscribe to my channel. It'll just be a lot easier. You're gonna save $4.99 or whatever, because I gotta sit there and plug my channel and
Yeah,
uh,
you always got to listen. You got to.
but
You know what's
it's
crazy?
funny too.
Like, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna sit there and say there's actually a woman that actually comes to my job or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, I love your reviews and stuff like that," and it's just weird. I mean, it's nice, but it's just like because I told her
Does it
about the
feel weird
channel or
because
whatever.
like they can walk up to you and tell you that?
Yeah,
Shout out to
Jonathan, thank you
Jonathan.
for
Shout out to
yeah.
Jonathan.
Johnson says over a decade ago on
Yes,
E, there was a reality show called Dirty Soap featuring celebrities from multiple soap. I do remember that.
I've seen it. I loved it. I loved it, and they should have gone with a season two. I feel like that should have had a season two. That was a good show. Dirty Soap was good. Dirty Soap was good. That was good.
Didn't they have another show called To Be a Soap Opera Star?
I want to be a soap star. Yes, they did.
Yes.
And funny enough, Britt from GH was on there, season two, but she didn't win.
Wow.
And obviously, but she came back on the show some years later.
Didn't they do something where they actually had like I do remember a soap it was a soap opera kind of thing where they actually had Kristen Storm and who was her husband at the time? Brandon Barash or whatever.
Ben Barash, who plays
Yeah.
Johnny Z.
Yeah, they actually did like their real life stories and stuff like that. Like it was like real life couples and stuff. I don't know if you remember that. It was actually on SoapNet.
It might have been. It could have been a special or something. It might have been.
It
It
was
might have been a
actually a
special or
couple of
something.
episodes, but yeah,
It might
thank
have
you,
been.
Jonathan. Thank you.
It might have been a
Shout
special.
out
And
to
that
Jonathan.
Dirty Soap was a good one. That was a good one right there. That was a good. That was a good show. That was
Well,
good. But
the reason why I actually brought up soap up digest is like when you think about it, that's pretty much what we kind of do a little bit. Like
we do.
all of us in general, like we talk about different aspects of the soaps, but we are talking about soap stuff, you know.
Yeah, we
So
are.
it's
We
like
are.
back then you had the magazines. Now it's just you just go on YouTube and you can sit there and talk to people and stuff like that about the soap. So it's very interesting just how far we came, you
Do
know.
people even still subscribe to that? I just wonder.
I always sit there and ask people in the chat, does anyone actually subscribe to what's it, Soap Opera Digest?
Yeah, that's the only one that's still around out of all of them. The rest are all gone. CBS Soaps and Depths are gone. There was never NBC Soaps and Depth. That never took place.
No, they used to be one. Well, it was they used to actually have. Oh God, they used to actually have one where they used to talk about NBC soaps, and there used to be one that used to be specifically towards ABC soaps. I do remember
And
it was the same.
CBS.
Yes,
But I never saw one for NBC.
I used to see them a lot, but after a while, they kind of just died down a little bit. Because I remember sometimes I used to sit there and look for the ABC one. They used to have CBS, and at the time, I was an ABC person, so I was like, I don't know who these characters are. Where's my ABC magazine or
ABC
whatever?
people stand up. ABC people stand up. Stand up. That's what
Yeah,
everyone with ABC so ABC people said stand up. So Purple Weekend was the first to go because they were losing money. And something happened, they just closed down. They were the first to go. Then it was like I think CBS Soaps and ABC, and then they just became Soaps in Depth. They just merged as one because they were all under the same umbrella. They just
yes,
merged
I
as
do
one.
remember that. Yeah,
They merged as one,
but
and then I think that went away.
well, yeah, but wasn't at one point they used to actually have stuff? Yeah, you're right. Damn,
Yeah, yeah,
you're exactly right.
they merged as one, and then they because the thing is, but the thing is, back then I think there were so many magazines because soaps were very powerful back then. They still had a force. I think their force started to wean off around '08. You know, they had I Want to Be a Soap Star, Intern, As Well Turns had their reality show called Intern, which I thought was cool. Guiding Light had their Inside the Light webisodes. So they had those different things, but as those different things started dying off, so did everything. I mean, General Hospital Night Shift. There was some heat going on. There was some heat going on. There was some of that. But then once that started dying off, there was less and less of the need for those magazines,
But,
unfortunately.
but it's crazy though. We actually came from a time period where we used to actually have a network, like a channel dedicated towards soap operas. Like, think about that. Like, now we have four. We only have three on the air. But back then, we actually had SoapNet, and they and not only did SoapNet used to play like all the soap operas and stuff like that after a while, but they played their original stuff though too. They had a show called Being Erica Kane. They had Soap Talk or whatever with Lisa Renna and Ty Treadway or whatever. Like, think about how crazy that time. Like, I felt like that was probably maybe the height of soap operas in some sense.
And I Want to Be a Soap Star. They had One Day with Wally Kurth, aka Ned, and
Justin,
Justin. They had all this. I feel like they could even do a streaming platform now with all of them, but
I
I
did.
don't know if they can make that happen.
It's funny too because I remember you actually saying that on JOJ Media. I literally remember you sent this saying that on JJ Media, and of course JJ was like, "Nah, they don't really care about the soaps." But I just wonder, you
I would pay
know,
for it. I would.
I mean, people are paying for Peacock. People are paying for Peacock to sit there and watch. Um,
But I think that everybody here has gotten so butthurt over copywriting and stuff like that, and rights and this and all this stuff. So I think it's just too many complexities involved. And then like the people from Procter and Gamble, even though they're not even releasing Another World on DVD or nothing, they're probably nah, we want to keep it. So if you want nah, that means we want to keep it. That means we feel like that's something valuable now because you want it, but you're not going to do nothing with it, and they're not going to sell it either. So you know,
yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those things where it sounds kind of stupid. It's like you have big business, whatever, just kind of gets involved. It's like everything just gets muddy. Everything just gets muddy.
and they could
Um,
totally sell this stuff on DVD, and I'm so shocked they don't. You have so many seasons and it's just sitting somewhere in a warehouse somewhere. Like it's just crazy when you think about it. I mean, other shows do that, but it's like soaps don't do that. It's so weird that soaps never did that. I don't. I think that was a copyright thing because, like I said, those people were really getting butthurt about all that. Oh yeah, Chandra's right. A money issue, exactly.
yep, of course. But
So
she's not wrong though. She's one
he's
hundred
right.
percent right.
He's
She's
right.
one hundred
The
percent right, and
royalties.
exactly. And not to say, I mean, it all does come down to money though. I mean, not sit there and really kind of go off on a tangent about Marvel and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
when people sit there and think of Marvel, they don't even realize that the X-Men and like the Avengers is all in the same world. For people that don't know, it's all in the same world, but the way that the business sides work is like, you know, you got Spider-Man and you got that whole thing. People don't understand that it's one world. But if you look at the movies, you wouldn't even sit there and think of that. People would be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I thought Spider-Man was actually part of this world." It's like, nope, not the X-Men. So yeah, it really does come down to business. Now, is there any last words you want to sit there and say before you sit there and head out?
Um, it's so crazy. The last part of this live just got so good too. But
Yeah, it's
gosh, I
just my
was.
battery's like on like 17% since somebody
Mhm.
decided to show up 10 minutes later, but whatever.
Will Horton, I was saying, I was saying, well, Will Horton gave us a longer time tonight, guys. So I appreciate it. I don't have any, I think, any last minute words about. I mean, I enjoyed tonight's live. I actually enjoyed this later part of our live because we never really talk about this stuff normally on
No, we
live.
don't. And that's why I loved it. And then it got like 17%. I was like, oh yeah, I guess it's gonna end
Hmm.
soon.
That's good.
No, no,
I
but
love
I,
that.
I
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna sit there and say I loved it because here's the thing though. Here's the thing what a lot of people don't really know. A lot of times when we finish our live stream, because we're friends in like real life or whatever, so we'll sit there and chop it up afterwards. So this is kind
Yeah.
of like more or less kind of like a after special kind
Like
of
they get like
thing.
a sneak preview, right? Got a little
Yeah,
sneak preview
except
of
for
that.
without I was gonna sit there and say like it's an after dark show, except for without the adult
Right.
content. But yes.
Yeah, yeah.
See, this is exactly why I love having DC on here because like we can sit there and chop it up or whatever, and we done talked about the reviews like I don't know what was it like two
Ages
hours ago or
ago.
something like that. Yeah,
Ages ago. And I see I like this because we've never gotten the chance to ever talk about this, how it is for us as reviewers, all these other things. It's the personal stuff, the deets that everybody wants, right? Personal
yes.
details,
So yeah, if
And
you
it's
if you
cool to talk
want
about
exactly, so if you want DC to sit there and be on here more, definitely hit the like button. So you
that. You know what I'm
see how
saying?
I kind of tied it in there. See, I kind
Yeah,
of tied.
yeah. Subscribe to the sanctuary, all that good
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and
Oh, well, definitely without a doubt, definitely subscribe to
I never say that enough. I feel like I never say that enough. I feel like I never, because nobody really even knows I have a channel in real life. Like nobody does. I never talk about it. It's like a different world. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
like Port Charles and General Hospital. Like so this is about Port Charles and General Hospital.
Well, I mean, well, I also never sit there and say hit the like button. If people notice, I never usually sit there and say hit the like button because it just we know how that is because we hear it a lot of times. And then,
Right.
see, for me, a lot of times, if I hear it too much, I'm gonna hit the dislike button because I'm a dick. Um, it's 100% true. Oh, we actually have another. Is GP is in the chat. But yeah,
GP.
is that
GP.
one of your subscribers? Because I don't remember that being one of my subscribers.
No, no, no.
Did you
No.
actually tell people that you was going to be on my channel?
Oh my God, no, I forgot. I was too busy getting my tea together, making sure my cat was like gonna jump out of the room. So
No, no,
it's like I am gonna put this on my channel. I'm gonna put this live though on my channel though. I'm gonna put
okay.
this live on my channel.
All right, good,
So
good, good. No, but I
yeah.
mean, all seriousness, I do actually love when you come on the channel now because we always have this, I guess, cool chemistry or whatever, this bouncing off
Yeah.
idea or whatever. Because I always sit there and look at you, it's like you're the nice version. I'm the dick. That's just that's just the truth. But you can sit there and literally ask anyone in chat. So it's always great snip there having you in the chat though. And honestly tell you the truth, when you snip there call me real hard, technically if I had my old battery, I think I would have probably ended around like an hour and like 30
Yeah, you
something minutes.
normally end earlier than this. Yeah, you end right actually
Yeah.
on the dot. I was like, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. So you didn't go
Listen,
a little late. I'm
I'm
impressed.
impressed with this new battery. I probably would have been more impressed if you would have been here like 10 minutes sooner, but
Is there a reason why you don't
just
just like stream with it plugged in, or does that like mess things up if you do it like that?
I feel here's the thing. From what I heard from somebody is that it starts to mess up the battery. If literally if you because in all reality I actually used to have an old laptop and I sit there and stream with the well not, I didn't stream with the battery but I used it while I was charging it and it literally started to mess up the battery and I had to sit there and order a new one.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. That
Yeah.
definitely makes sense. That definitely makes sense with that. Definitely. And I have to honestly say, I'm really proud of like how you've done your channel. Oh, and Gwen, it's probably just a typo. Like probably just came out CD like that. But I really like how you've done your channel, like where you've marketed it. You've done it. Just that's why I just feel like I said, this is just this whole soap thing. I can never let it go because this is the one thing I've been consistent with over like the past. I want to say close to 2 years now. Like 2 years? Yeah, it's been 2 years now. It's officially 2 years. March makes it 2 years. Officially 2 years.
Jesus. Yeah.
I know,
How do you
right?
feel about that? How do you feel about that? You've been on here for 2 years.
Man, like I said, being the new comes about, it was great. I knew that I was gonna love doing this because, like I said, when I was originally gonna do YouTube, I was gonna do like a relationship or, edit the YouTuber, like, hey guys, so what do you guys want me to talk about on my channel today? Like, I was gonna end up as one of those. But then my brother was like, do a soap channel, do something that that you can always talk about, that material is provided for you. That yes, you can bring your personal life in, but that's not gonna be the main content. And I've been consistent with it, even though I've been a little Mayor Collins-ish with it, but I've still been somewhat consistent with it. Even though people see that October, I was there even before that. So it's a good feeling. And I love doing this. Like, even though I'm in grad school, I'm always going to want to talk soap because in real life, I've never had anybody to talk soaps with. I never had that. That was never ever present. So it's like, have that whole network. I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
finally have
it's that's what it's a great and I love when people sit there and talk about how they could sit there and talk soaps or whatever with other people and stuff like that in the chat. They can talk with me about soaps and stuff like that. And I like the fact that I can sit there and be myself in a sense with people. When you work,
yeah,
it's like what Brock said. When you work like a day job or whatever, a retail job or whatever, it's like, yeah, I'm giving like a portion of myself, like a portion of who I am. But when you're here, it's just it's different, you know. That's not they're saying
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit there and give every single ounce and bits of who I am, because trust me, no one wants to know that. But I
Yeah. I
feel like
did
I
that
can
used to be a Thomas Forster.
but you feel like you can be more of yourself when you can give
Yeah.
more of your personality. And I think the thing that I love about doing live streams is that I feel like I'm hanging out with friends. You know, I'm
Yeah.
hanging out with people, whatever, that's talking about the same things, and we can sit there and disagree with stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just a soap opera, and we're just having a good time. You know,
Yeah.
like we
Well,
came from like really long days of working and whatever, but it's like, you know what? Listen, for like an hour or 2 hours or whatever, we can sit there and just chill and talk about soaps. We can sit there
yeah.
and get into somebody else's messy lives that doesn't have anything to do with our own messy lives.
And the best part is it's fictional, so we're not actually talking about someone's actual real life. It's all fictional. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's the best part about it. It's the best part about
Yeah,
it. It's the best part about it.
and
That's
you
why I
know,
was. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, no, I was going to sit there and say, and you know, it's funny too because I will sit there and sit there and somewhat ended on this. Now, I remember when um we were doing all four of us, and we were sitting there talking about how we're not crabs in the barrel. You know, we shout at each other, we respect each other and stuff like that, and it's not a competition, right?
Right.
Do you feel like it's not truly a competition? Like it's not a competition in the sense that we're bad mouthing each other. But let's sit there and take your saying for example. You only have a certain amount of time to sit there and watch a certain amount of news content. So in that sense, is it somewhat competition now? Like it's not competition, but it's kind of competition.
Let me. Well, okay. I'll say this. It could be if one looks at it like that, but I feel like everyone brings something unique to the table, right? There's honestly, when I look at every soap reviewer, I just feel like even though there might be a simple structure or formal, they might do something 5 days a week or whatever. Everyone is bringing something really inherently unique that the other person cannot bring, right?
Yeah,
And so, because that alone, that is going to resonate who it resonates with, right? So that's why I feel like yes, it is competition because there's so much out there, but it's about what's going to garner for that. So even for me, when I think of my content or how I do my reviews, I think of soap fans that are like me, right? And whoever is on that same wavelength will resonate with that, right? Even though they have things exactly like me, but if they can just resonate with it, and that's not going to resonate with everybody, right? Because I think I had like an anti-sprinter video where I said it as a joke as a title, but some person said, "You said you're anti-sprinter for that reason. I'm out." like Shark
damn.
Tank. That's okay, right? That's okay. So it could feel competitive, but it doesn't because, like I said, everyone's bringing something unique and different. I don't feel threatened or anything, or like I said, slightly, but everyone's bringing something unique and different. I'm always doing wacky crap on my channels, like passions. One minute I'm here, when I'm not here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You're just abashedly just out there with your opinion. You don't care. Brock has one unique perspective, and we're all going to people for different perspectives. It's kind of like the different soaps. All of them are soaps, but they all have a culture and a character to them. That's going to resonate to one person or the other. Some people might resonate with all four. Some people resonate with only one. And some people, if they weren't wise enough, they resonated with the past soap, which is no longer on, and now I got nothing to watch. So, well, but that's my take on that. What is your take?
I love your Mayor Colin take on that. That was epic. That wow, I give you props for that. No, in a lot of sense, yes, I do agree with a lot of things that you're saying. We are not sitting there. It's not a blood sport, okay? We're not sitting there bashing each other, sit there and try to get views and stuff like that. And yeah, you are 100% right. I love the fact that we are all doing something different. We're all sitting there taking a different take on it. I felt like in some ways I kind of put you in a bit of a dangerous question, and that was like
Why? Why was
not
it
my
dangerous?
intent.
Why?
Bro, did you not see the level of gymnastics that you was trying to do to make sure that it was as safe as possible? Maybe in some
Was that really
ways,
gymnastics? I thought I answered it
I,
good.
I,
You think
I
it was?
felt like here's the thing. I felt like it was a super safe answer that did not want to make sure that
Did you want me to
Of
keep it hood? Like nobody could do it like how I do it. Like you want me to say
No,
something
no, no,
like
no, no,
that?
no, no. I felt like I honestly told you in all reality, I felt like that was a good answer. Here's what I'll sit there and say. Here's what I'll sit there and say. When I sit there and say it's not a competition in the simple fact that like I would sit there and shout out James' channel, I would sit there and shout out Kyrie's channel, I'll shout out your channel and stuff like that. We're all supportive in
Right,
that.
right,
We're not sitting there acting like we are better than anyone else. I'll sit there and
right,
shout out even
right.
Dish and Days and stuff like that. I just meant it more as a competition as far as if you only have a certain amount of time, there's only going to be a certain amount of channels you're going to sit there and watch. Now you can love all the channels
Right,
and love
right.
the fact that they bring each they bring a different perspective to Yon Corner.
Dion Corner is the trash. Dion's Corner.
It's really funny. We actually just sitting there talking about Dion's Corner, which I got to sit there and watch later on in a few minutes. But I guess I just meant more as how much time we have and how much stuff we can sit there and watch. Because in
Mhm.
reality, I would love to sit there and watch all 10 channels or just a bunch of different videos. So I don't mean it like in a way of like we're crapping on each other, but it's just
Right,
more about the of like me, if let's say if I was somebody else, if I had to sit there and watch a bunch of like me, Lanikia, and Brock, that person may only have time to sit there and watch maybe two.
that'll be your whole day.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just one of those things where it's like it's not that they're saying we're gonna crap on this person, but I may want to watch Lanikia's channel that day, or I may want to sit there and watch Brock that channel that day, or I may want to sit there and watch Albert's channel that day because it's only like 9 minutes or
Right.
whatever. So it's competition in that sense, but it's not like we're
Yeah.
stepping on each other.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, okay, so I guess when you putting it more like that, giving that more of that context, of course it is. It is kind of like it's competitive, I guess, in the sense that nature. Because I'm only subscribed to 10 or 11 soap channels. Well, one because I don't want too many spoilers pop up on the feed, YouTube. But also, I know there's only so many opinions I could be plugged into, and I'm very careful about also my consumption as well, right? So, I definitely understand what you're saying on that. So I guess I got kind of more of a gist. I wasn't trying to backflip. I was answered it
No,
honestly,
no,
uniquely, because
no.
everybody's gonna resonate something differently.
Yeah, no, I didn't want. I didn't. Here's the thing. I didn't want my take to be like, no, I think I'm better than this person. I think I'm better. No, 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 no.
Right, right.
I just meant more like as far as how much time we have. Because when I sit there and look at what I
Yeah.
do, I do the day jobs and I do this, and it's like, all right, well, I got like maybe a few minutes. So it's like if I know that Dion's Corner is going to be on at 11, I'm gonna sit there and watch him. But like maybe I may not have time to sit there and watch Brock. I may not have time to sit there and watch Lanikia. So
But like
it's
Sabrina
more of like
Page, she comes on the same time as you actually, so then you wouldn't have time to watch her because you're obviously putting your stuff out
exactly.
at
Or
the same
people may
time.
not
Yeah.
have time to sit there and watch me, and they may want to sit there and watch Sabrina, and they may want to watch me. So it's not. It's more just like how much time you have, and who do you feel like watching. That's going to kind of give you. They may not give you the same opinion, but they'll give you what the topic is.
That review that you're looking for, that true. Okay,
Exactly.
so I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm on a time crunch, I'll be honest with you. Pretty much, there is the top three voices I listen to. One of them is you, one of them is Brock, and then James. Those are pretty much, I want to say, the top three, because that's usually what's always usually popping to my feed, especially James. James coming out with the video, he's ordering lunch, something's happening. So James is predominantly my feed. James is predominantly my feed, right? James is predominantly my feed. Those are the three that I will go to right away, and then everyone else is just as they pop up. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's what I would say, because I really don't have time to listen to everybody. It would be a lot. It would be a lot. And so there are certain, every opinion is good in a sense, but I guess it's like I said, there's certain opinions I'm like, oh, I really resonate with this opinion. So if I only have a certain amount of time, this is where I'm going. I'll be honest, yes. And I think everybody has
Yeah.
that on some level. Does that answer that
Exactly.
question a little bit too?
Yeah, even because even with me and days, like I'll sit there and do my review on days, and then Nikia will sit there and do her review on days. And then when I look at my numbers, I was like, yeah, a lot of people probably watch Lanikia, which is fine. I respect that, but that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah,
So it's not.
because they can't watch
It's not
everybody. It'd be a lot to keep up with.
exactly. Exactly. So that's what I meant more about like um
In terms of like you can't
competition.
watch everybody content. Yes, yes,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because you can't, you definitely can't like watch everyone's content in a way. And so even with me, like for me, I feel like I'm always like doing my content a different way because in one season it worked for me this way, and one season doing like when I first started, I was actually doing 5 days a week. You guys remember that was before my channel shut down. Where that happened, right? I was doing 5 days, and I quickly realized, okay, it's not gonna work. So then I switched to weekends. I switched to this. I'm switching this. I'm always doing that because find what that's gonna work, and then the audience is gonna rock with that. Because I guarantee, if I was doing 5 days a week, and I'm not saying this to sound arrogant, I think if I was doing 5 days a week, I would have been at 1,000 subscribers by now. I really do think so.
Yeah, I do too. And that's the thing. That's not arrogance. That's just confidence. That is,
Right?
let's just no seriously. That's just confidence. You are very funny. You are very educated, and you're very clear and concise. So I have no doubt that you would sit there and get to five. Get to 1,000
Thank you.
subscribers.
Appreciate that.
That's just talent. That's what it comes down to, and that's what people sit there and come to your channel for.
Right, right.
There's a,
So
there's
I
a
think if
fine. I was gonna say that there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, or
I,
yeah, that's just yeah.
because honestly, I feel like the content I bring my channel, even as sporadic as it can be, I think all of it is pretty well thought out, or pretty well detailed content. And funny enough, my brother does the same kind of content on his channel when he had one, but except it was just wrestling content. I didn't even realize that. He literally does the same exact thing. It was like the same thing. He'll do a review, he'll do a skit, he'll do this, but it's just wrestling content. Funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
For the tree. That's funny how that works. But I mean, honestly, yeah, I agree. It's like you're just believing in that. Because there's some channels, and this is not soap related, but just in general, some channels could be doing a lot, but there's nothing really going on at the same time. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
Because I mean, look at Brock TV. Brock TV just, like I said, he's just following the same formula from day one. Come in, put in a review, he gets his 5K views, he's out the door, I just move on to the next. That's how it is, Brock TV. That's why I call him Sonny Carruthers of the reviews. Like Brock TV don't go without a 200. He just makes it happen. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
proud of him. He's just been doing him. I love that.
I I do too, and that, again, he inspired me to sit there and do my reviews. He comes in, he does his stuff, and that's it. I want Brock TV to sit there and do a live stream. That's what I want to sit there and see. I want to sit there and see him do a live stream because I know he would definitely kill it doing a live stream. I know
He
he'll
would.
sit there.
He would. He
But
would.
just to kind of end it off a little bit, there's a definitely difference between confidence and arrogance. Because at the end of the day, you gotta sit there and look at it this way: if you don't believe in yourself, who else will?
I agree. I agree.
You
I mean,
know,
I do feel like my channel is it's on what I do. But I try. That's why I try to be modest. I mean, I'm not saying to be like brag, but I do be modest because I agree. You do have to believe in your craft and what you do. You have to believe
you do.
everything you put out, and it always translates on camera. It always translates on camera. You're talking, how you feel about it. It always translates on camera because obviously there was a thing with the other video that I did that I had my concerns about at the time. Um,
Mhm.
but I knew for a fact I was gonna kind of post that because that was a 6 hour long video. That took like 6 hours. I was gonna post that thing. I was going to try to post that thing, but you have to really believe in your content you're doing, knowing that you're going into everything with good intentions, and believe in that. And I think that always shows in a lot of people been either doing this for a while or not a while. Like you can just always tell, who's doing that. Because even with you, like look at you doing all this, like you get yourself organized, got the lives, the chat, like you have a whole system. It is
Yeah,
completely organized, and I'm
but
gonna
you
have to
got you
say
got
some
to
of this stuff outside after we get off the live because I just further my thought process as I've said. But you have a whole structure that I just haven't seen in a lot of places.
I appreciate that, and that's something that just definitely took over time. Because trust me, before I started doing this whole YouTube thing, that I was not the definition of being organized. But I would sit there and say this: when I want something, when I believe in something, when I want to do something, I'm going to put 150% into what I do.
Right.
So that's why I was saying, I just love when you pick up the cat.
Yeah, I just need her to stay on
But
the side of the
no,
road.
I was just gonna sit there and say, just there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. And
I agree.
yes, you can be very humble because honestly, to tell you the truth, that's what it comes down to. I appreciate everything that people do, every person that's in the chat and stuff like that. But you have to sit there and believe in yourself. That's just
I
it.
agree.
It starts from within.
I agree. I agree. It definitely does. Definitely agree with that.
But I think I'm going to sit there and end the stream right here because we're almost approaching 3 hours, and I just had to sit there and plug up my laptop for a little bit. So I don't want to sit there and kill this battery, but I do want to sit there and thank everyone for joining. This was amazing. I love sitting there working with DC Soap Sanctuary. It, at this point, we all know who he is. So if you're not following him, please go to his channel, follow him. Dion's Corner was in the chat, so I'm going to sit there and leave a link to his channel below in the description box. So please check out his channel. And also DC, also JLJ Media. That's my friend right there. So definitely hit up his channel. So I got a lot of links to sit there and put. So please go to the description box below and subscribe to those channels because I won't sit there and tell people to subscribe to a channel if I don't believe in it. So just take my
Facts.
word.
Exactly. Facts. I agree. I agree. I agree.
Any last words, DC, before we head on out?
Well, as the VP of Bostic Enterprises and subsidiary companies, no, I think I've said it all tonight. I think I've said it all. What about you? Is your CEO?
No, no, I'm good. I'm good. Like I said, subscribe to my guy Dion's Corner because I'm gonna definitely check out his channel after that. But I want to thank everyone for joining. Now, I know we didn't sit there and do a lot of comments and stuff like that. When it's just me, I'm always sitting there hitting up people in the chat. So I want to thank y'all for rocking with us anyway. Um, and yeah, we'll definitely be back soon. Definitely let DC know that he definitely got to come back to the channel at some point because
He's
I'm
tired
not
of me
gonna give
plugging
that
Mara
up.
Collins.
Yes. I'm not gonna sit there and get that up. But thank you everyone for joining. This was so much fun. Yes, hit the thumbs button,
Super
hit the
fun.
like
Super fun.
button, and thank you everyone. And we'll see you in the next live stream or video and all that.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's great. Bye, guys.
Laters.